Okay, welcome to the Forbidden History Chronicles. Hi guys, thank you for joining. Love you guys. Lynn, guess what? I wanted to tell you personally, the parcel arrived. Yeah, it's really cute. Um, little flowers that Lynn made me. So thank you so much. They're so cute, and one's got a little cat trinket thing on it. Attached to it. Yeah, so it finally got here. Um, and I just want to say g'day to who else is here? Fix It. G'day, Fix It. And any new listeners. Um, and g'day to Forbidden History Live. I always love you in joining the chat. um, anyway, welcome. Um, We'll get straight into it. The signs of the times. In essence, Desert discusses the history of the world and how the unseen hand has been running it from the very beginning of time, who they are and how they have founded all of the first great civilizations that are found all around the world, about who the giants really were and the ancient Aryan caste and slave systems, the priesthoods, the anti-gravity V-manners, the Earth-based misnomered UFOs, which are man-made, the control of all forms of communications, commerce, religion, mass media, pseudo-politics, etc. It is the grand deception that is used to control all of mankind, and all instituted through the three main religions of the world in particular, used as their grand cover. Their cyber code has been revealed to him because he has become adept within the study of the ancient alphabets, communications, symbolism, religion, custom, law, cosmology, and mythology, not to mention, excuse me, the fallacy of today's political science and pseudoscience in particular. He can also define the true nature of their warfare, their shell game of bringing one civilization up for their temporary use and then taking it down for the next 500-year generational cycle, as symbolized by the classical phoenix. Desert discusses the ultimate in mind control and ancient art and the financial control, the secret societies and their blood occult rituals, and how they wage all wars throughout all time, through the nations that they have created, which are all imaginations, plantations, and mere corporations. They have taken blood oaths to surrender their self-will and mind to their blind goddess, who has demanded our blood from the very beginning of time. They communicate to their minions through the movies, TV, and print media, while he can see, read, and interpret most all of it. It all says that they are using us for our ingenuity, for our collective constructive labour, for experimentation, and in the end, they intend to kill us all. They have given us full notice of what they are doing and what they fully intend to do, while all of the general population, the sheeple, they merely go there to be entertained. The New World Order is the Old World Order from the beginning of time. There is a major cosmic natural disaster that is about to happen on Earth, and they know it, but they are cleverly leaving us in the dark. Hence the reason that they have built hundreds of underground bases all around the world, while they are leaving all of the people to remain unprepared, uninformed, and above ground, so that when it comes, the mere 5% who will survive above ground will die from the weaknesses and disease that has been generated from all of the poisons that they have been feeding us, from the chemtrails to fluoride in the water to tainted vaccines to fake food, etc., etc. They have enslaved us all by the clever means of deception, because we most all are their cattle, chattel, property, and because they merely wanted to harness our labour, what they always needed, which is what backs most of the world's currency through the birth certificate, but they are all through with us now. It is written in stone, as it can be seen written in the Georgia Guidestones. To know the truth is to be empowered and to be prepared. We may not be able to stop what has been done and what is about to happen, but the innocent and decent people on planet Earth deserve to know. And that was written by Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History Series YouTube channel. Please go and check it out. Start from June 21st last year, 2018. Link is in the description. Please subscribe. And he's currently broadcasting from Forbidden History Live. And it's amazing. They're both amazing. You will be wowed a lot. And I'd like to welcome Dezert-Owl to the program as soon as I find your microphone. There we go. G'day, Desert, and just get an audio check, please, if that's okay.
Hey, Ninja. Yeah, you broke up a few times where your voice disappeared. I don't know what's going on with the.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know if that happened to Lynn as well. Lynn, did you notice Ninja breaking up? The sound is a 10-10. Good, thank you. Well, anyway, we're doing it right now, so we'll just keep on plugging away here.
Yeah. Okay. Can I mention something before we get into the good stuff? I was just reminded of it. I did write it down, but I don't know where it's gone. I was just reminded of it when I was reading the bit of your intro from the weakness and disease that has been generated from all the poisons they've been feeding us, from the chemtrails to fluoride in the water to tainted vaccines to fake food. That part, we have a lady that comes and takes mum out grocery shopping, does the weekly shopping, and that gives me a 2-hour break. We have a new lady who's very nice, that's now doing the shopping, taking mum shopping. She's still getting used to the things that we get, and she's trying her best not to get the wrong things. But anyway, we needed sugar. We needed brown sugar. I'm not a cook, so I don't use caster sugar for cooking or anything like that. I'm not very good at cooking. And she brought back, she wasn't sure, and she brought back brown caster sugar, and it seemed moist and bunched up, but I thought, well, okay, we're not going to waste money. We'll use it anyway. It's brown sugar. We only use it to put in our hot drinks and a few other things. Yeah, and I went to use it, and all through it, the first spoonful, picked up a bunch in my teaspoon, and a little bit was dangling off the spoon attached to a rubber-like clear fibre thing. Yeah, and it was all through the sugar, so I had to throw it all out. Yeah, wow.
So sort of like some critters got in there and made a home?
I don't know what it was. I have no idea. It was just like, it was stretchy. I didn't touch it, but it was it was stretchy and it was clear and
right.
attached to the sugar.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say unless you do further examination, but it's probably most likely some type of critter that got in there.
Wow, I threw it all in the bin, and we're not getting caster sugar again anyway, because I'm going to tell her next week that we don't want it.
Yeah, well, that's a waste of money, so that's sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't only a cheap item. It was only like $1 or something, so yeah, so that was that. Yeah, I thought I'd bring it up because with all the weirdness and the fakeness and the poison and everything that's out there. Yeah.
Yeah, you disappeared again, right? Okay, but I got the gist of what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, I thought I'd bring it up just in case you'd heard of anything like that.
Well, I've seen things on, in food, like that for sure. Hey, Robert, good to have you. My old friend Robert Gavitt from my radio network, and grew up in my backyard, New Jersey, Central Jersey there. So, yeah, good to have you. We're going to try to do some of the Informer, another part of the Forbidden History of America coming up, Robert. That's one of my intentions, so good. And Ninja, back to you.
Okay, well, that was all. I just wanted to mention the sugar thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So,
and g'day, Robert. Welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen Robert here before, so yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we I'll do some words in general, and then if you want we can go into a few words on the body, showing the original thought in the body itself, and then we're doing a series on the other channel on Forbidden History Live. We just started yesterday, and so you can see it, and then we'll do a few here just to give an example, and then hopefully y'all come by on the other program if you want to hear more. And Robert, you're saying a good Christian friend of yours will be calling you. He is very interested in scriptural study. Okay, well, very good, Robert. Is he going to call in on the program today? Is that what you're saying, or just on the side? He's going to call me for clarification. Okay, and so a few. I was showing people, of course, over the last few weeks about how I didn't want to say good morning anymore because it means you're wishing somebody to have a death in the family,
Yeah.
and then I finally looked it up because it was sticking with me. I knew that I had to examine this word because nothing else was working.
Yeah.
Happy
Except for g'day.
sunrise, or
Yeah.
and I'm not down from Australia, so I don't have a tendency to say good day, and all this. So I looked it up, and then and there it was. It was Morgan. It's Morgan, and Morgan is actually that's even somebody's name, Morgan, and
Yeah.
so literally Morgan, as I'll spell it in here, okay, would be like this, and Morgann. Okay, so in that we have three words, and basically it would be Moregoldendest. Okay, more golden harvest. See, the G is the symbol of the gold, right? And the an,
Wow.
A-N-N, means harvest. So literally, you were saying good, good, more golden harvest. It's hard to say good Morgan and then change it into the original thought. But what we're saying is, may you have some more of a golden harvest. In other words, what is the golden harvest? The sun is coming up.
Yes.
It's a golden harvest, right?
Yeah.
From the darkness. Yeah. So that's what it implies. And then we talked about the other literal meanings being gan, also meaning garden, right? So we could say more golden harvest in the garden. You could add that as well. Yeah, Lynn. Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
it is. It
It all
shows what they're
fits.
hiding. They
Yeah.
went from having a beautiful sunrise to having
Yeah.
a beautiful death.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they do it. That's how they do it. And so it's the word. That's why the words are so important to examine. But we have to become scholars. And that's the hardest thing for anybody to do when they're busy eking out living as a slave. With well, then you're raised on the BS from education.
Yeah.
Ed meaning to remove. What they remove from your brain, which you needed in order to survive. You know, just like they take the primitive cultures out of their primitive environment, get them in the city, and with the next generation, they forgot all the ancient legends, the ancient plants that you were supposed to eat for medicine or food. Right? In one generation, boom, it's gone. If they can get you out of the environment, you know,
Yeah.
and so that's what they do. They want us to be dependent on them.
Yeah.
Interdependence.
Yeah. Can
Slave.
I just? Sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I see something, but I don't know if it's anything. But yeah, I saw it before and then remembered it when you brought it up. Morgan. Do you say Morgan? Morgan?
Uh, well, the
Morgan.
one aspect, if we add the Y, then we could say more gain.
Morgaine. That
So more
sounds
gain, what you
better.
get out of a harvest is a gain, but
Yeah.
more gan is the more primitive, so to speak. Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, you add vowels, you add letters to, you know, see the variables within a shavor within a word, huh?
'Cause I keep thinking of Morgana. um, and yeah, um, it just makes me think that they've twisted it in that way.
Uh huh.
With
Morgana,
Morgana,
what's that? What's that?
a witch from the story of Merlin, Morgana. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm not familiar with it. Not familiar with it. Okay. All right. So let's
Okay.
do a few more, and then we can. You got some body parts you want to talk about. That ought to be interesting. Um, Okay, so N, remember we looked at that other channel the other day, and he was talking about the N,
Yep.
and he going into the hieroglyphics in Mesar, and so I was able to see some things in that he wasn't able to convey, and that's what I was saying. He didn't bring it home,
Yeah.
but yet he couldn't take it to the root of the onion, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the N was in other words it's the two. So if you see an M, if you see the M, then it's really a representation of the ends, okay, and the two ends are one M. That's why in man you have correctly in the German, right? It's MANN, and and it's about the duality. We could even spell it MAANN like that. You see, and so this is how fluid the diction is. But of course, it's the prime root of MOON. You see, and so in this so the duality. So this is the meaning. What is note that the letter N in our modern alphabet comes right after the letter M. M is at the very
Yep.
center of everything because it's got the V. The V is being held up by the two pillars. There's your two columns, and the V is at the middle of everything. The virgin light of creation. Then what comes right after it? The symbol of what is happening in the creation, and it is a duality, the play of the yin yang, the light and the darkness, the male female, the in and the out, hot and cold, right? Fire and water. All of those things are in the ballet of the two ends that come down. So it means that which came down out of the light then is the division. The oneness is in the symbol of the sun, the wholeness, and then that's why when Adam came out of the atom, then he was divided and he found his female counterpart. And I'm looking at my notes here. So opposing forces are the two ends, and the primeval waters of chaos. They represent, therefore, the primeval evil waters of chaos, and so the N also. When this gentleman was presenting the N as a symbol of the serpent creation, um, he didn't say that it was a symbol of the serpent creation that came down. You see, because the serpent is coming down. It's the fall. We are the serpent, right? So it's about the fall of mankind from a
Yeah.
prime from the primordial spirit into a primordial illusion of touch me, feel me,
Yeah.
see me, but it's not really me. It's just an illusion. I am another you, but inside is our spirit. In other words, like when we look at the races, we got the black, we got yellow, we got they give, of course, indefinite characteristics to our different variable shades of brown, but some are white, some are brown, some are yellow. They call some red, and actually the native peoples aren't red either, but and so that's the illusion, because inside the spirit we're all the same. It's our essence, and it is our how do we define it? That's the great mystery. It's a spirit. That's all we can say. It is, and that's the Aisha fire, and therefore it then could be also recognized as energy by itself, energy in that sense, and yeah, and all the colors of the rainbow came down. Fix a Fox, right? All the colors came down. That's the spectrum of creation, and the colors also represent different metals as well. We see it in our sky now. We see our sky changing colors like
Yeah.
we've never seen it, and that's because it's being dosed up with metallic particles of all different
Exactly.
sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so yeah, nothing natural now. It's really sad. So anyway, I just wanted to add that on the letter N,
Yeah, that
and so
was cool.
continuing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it may be, unless you're having a bad day on planet Earth, and maybe it's not so cool, because that's what's going on. It's that duality, you see.
Yeah, it's
Like
cool
they
here.
promised us roses, then they gave us a knife,
Yeah.
and yeah, and they said we're going to have dinner on you. By the way, excuse us, we're hungry, and you're our next meal. And so,
That's it. I'm sorry.
wonderful, isn't it? Yeah. Well,
I love the way you explain it. It's just, yeah.
yeah. Well,
Sorry. Please continue.
right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Isn't that what they
You're
say?
breaking up now, actually.
I said we have to call a spade a shovel.
Okay.
right?
Yep.
That's what they say, right? And
Yep.
they're going to dig our grave with
Yep.
it. So but they're digging their own grave. You see, that's the problem. They're digging their own grave. They've just literally destroyed their own planet in their arrogance. When they
Yes.
wanted to come and kill us, they killed themselves. How appropriate. That's called natural law, you know? And so it's good. I didn't want to be here anyway. Nobody asked me to be. I mean, I don't remember anybody asking me to be here. But we have to come to terms with it,
Yeah.
So in the word Iran, Iran is an interesting part of our planet, because Iran. I saw this one just like 2 days ago, and I wrote it down because Iran. How I say the I is a corruption, and we don't want the I. We just throw it out because it's a corruption. So you can see here in the word Iran, actually Aran, but correctly it is, which is correctly. Okay. You see how the you back engineer it, right? So we see the name. Remember, this is the Persian Empire, the former Persian Empire, the largest empire in the world. It was bigger than the Roman Empire, and they actually tolerated differences. They tolerated different religions. They didn't try to, like, the Roman Empire, worship Caesar. No, they said, you know, do your own thing, whatever you want. We're all one empire. Bring your taxes, pay your taxes, and everything's okay. You can worship any god, do what you want to do. Just don't, break our laws. And we see then in Iran, Aran, and then Aram, because the N, as we just pointed out, is the two N's. There has to be two N's there. When you see one N, there's two. Same with the L. If you see one L, there's really two there. It doesn't matter if you don't see it. It's always there. It's the duality. And therefore then, so Aram becomes the Avram, and there's the word for Brahm, or Abram, Abram as we called him. Then he became Abraham. So Avram means what? The head of a tribe. And so here's the ancient Aryan Persian Empire, right? And so what they're calling the very place today in our modern time in the occultic version, occultic meaning hiding the light of the original word, is Iran is correctly the Avram, meaning the star ram. Now, isn't it interesting that Iran is in the news today, and they're always making out like it's going to be the next target, and
Yeah.
yet it's admitted by like so many people that Iran has never attacked anybody in 200 years or whatever, right? I think Dane Wigington always points that out because they're being targeted, but yet they've never attacked anybody in all these years,
Yeah.
except they had battles with Iraq. They had some wars with Iraq, but that would be on their local turf. That's a local issue, right? About land being stolen from back and forth from each other. That's been going on from the beginning of time, basically, right? But so
Can
so
I
I'm just
ask
pointing
about?
out.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Can I ask about the word Iraq? Because it's very similar to the word Iran. Does it?
Iran.
Iran. Aussie
All right.
accent.
Yeah, pose a question again because I was reading Bob's statement. We hope to do. Let me just tell Bob. We hope to be doing another read out of the Informer's work today. Bob, being the Forbidden History of America, what he's called the New America, Forbidden History of New America. Okay, so Ninja, go ahead.
Um, Iraq is very similar to Iran. Iran. Now you're making me all self-conscious. Um, it's very similar to Iran. Iran. I say that. I say it that way. Okay. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Iraq. Um, is there a
Well,
significance
oh right. In
there?
other words, they both have an I in front, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's and so right because it's a supplement for the original, which would be typically an A. What we find out in most of these words, when you see the I, it's a corruption for the A. Remember, it's a duality, and therefore it's a switch out from the light to the darkness, from the pure to the impure. From the revelation to the covering. It's so that's the battle, and the battle is for our mind through the diction. If they control the words, you're under the spell, right? So we have to learn how to spell ourselves to be set free from their casting spells, because that's what they're doing, right? That's what we're talking about, casting spells by
Yeah.
false symbols, by symbols that are not true, not correct, incomplete, and also very misleading, in their arrangement. So we have to know the science. That's what we're doing here. Every day when we do these broadcasts, we're presenting a science that has to be, learned. And the beauty is, it's so much easier than the Hebrew or the Greek, because we are speaking the Indo-Germanic in our modern time. We are speaking, and Indo-Germanic includes all, Hebrew, Latin, Greek, Portuguese, French, Spanish, English, uh, German, of course, and Scandinavian. All of these are Indo-Germanic. Like there, okay. So to show you how they engineer things, there was a time when in Russia, uh, formerly called Prussia. They during the time, let's say, of uh, Ivan the Terrible, and he was pretty terrible, and so he was so terrible. In fact, he had to escape, and go and flee to Rome, of all places. He fled to Rome, but at that time they never had an alphabet. They had a spoken tongue, but they had no written alphabet, right? So Ivan Terrible goes, to Rome, and then he comes back as the anointed Romanov family. So this begins the legacy of the Romanovs, and then we end up with Peter the Great, who was relatively great in comparison to Ivan the Terrible. I don't. They may have sugarcoated the stories of Peter the Great, but he was groomed for the next wave of this double-headed eagle, because that's what they're creating: the right hand, the left hand, the eastern front, the western front, right? So when Ivan the Terrible comes back, is about the time then they get the alphabet. You see, so he comes back with a code, comes back with a name, comes back with a vision, right? Comes back with a mission for their one world order, because it's always about the one world order, and it's just that things evolve over processes, and so now they were very important, on the stage, and because they, just like, they have Eastern Europe, Western Europe, right? Then we in America we have the North and the South, and then you see they always create divisions between all fronts, on all fronts, right? And that's how they do it. They had the Roman Empire even splits itself, and you got the Eastern Empire, the Western Empire, right? And all, it's just amazing. Kip, good to have you. And so we have to see how the game is played. That chess game that we talked about, and it's their board. The game was created in India, and the queen has all the moves, and the queen is the woman. That's the Luciferian occult. That because they hate the father, they killed the father, they hated Yahweh, they took his name out of the scriptures, put in Adonai, and Adonai is the blood-thirsty goddess that's called the hidden woman. It looks like a male, but it's really the female, and she demands blood. That's also aka Lucifer, which is just another false narrative to cover the original story about Adam. All these things we've talked about already. Just go back and listen. So I just was pointing out that what's interesting about Persia is that when it's then called Iran, the very word in there, Iran, implies the star ram, the Avram, and therefore the sovereign. And that's what, in other words, just like Saddam Hussein, who was made by the CIA, he was always doing his job. There was never, all of it was a stage. In other words, everything happened according to the way it was supposed to be. And then Saddam Hussein gets his chateau up in Switzerland, and he's drinking champagne and eating caviar right now while his double was hung. His double was killed, not him. And so the same thing with Iran. Then it is, it's one of the most ancient enclaves, and therefore it is being used today as it's one of the most how do I want to say it? Like we talked about the word Cain, and the word Cain is found in use there today. It's Khan, Khan. Khan is Cain in the more primitive, and that's the more correct spelling, by the way. So in the Zavram, this Iran, we find the bedrock of a preservation of some of the most ancient rudiments of our original culture, and including the Indo-Germanic, but they didn't fit the bill as the Persian Empire for the one world order because they tolerated religious differences and therefore didn't want to burn people at the stake or all of that stuff. So ultimately, then the Greek Empire comes up and they take on the motif as the next wave of the one world order. That was that age of enlightenment, with Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and all of the new think, and which was denied the original thought, of course, but now they theorized on everything
Yeah,
rather than
yeah,
getting back to the most ancient original thought, which is not theory, but it is based on true science. And even in the Greek culture, they had all the males become homosexuals as teenagers, making that a part of a natural
wow,
cycle of their culture. But then later on, they get married, right? But they all engage in promiscuity and sexual enhancement for stimulating the sexual drives. So it was the one world. In other words, you're not going to have a 20-year-old kid become a great military strategist. It's an impossibility. Obviously, Alexander the Great was groomed for that job, and he had some backing that we never hear about in our history books, which goes back to the ancient Zavram, or as I'm saying with Arian, Iran. They were betrayed. The great empire of Persia was betrayed by the one world order because they weren't doing their job. And so it's about the dominoes, and they had their day, and then it became Greece, but Greece was ultimately betrayed, and then it became Rome, and they took the alphabet with them. They took the alphabet from Greece. Look at all the stone monuments in Greece. It's the capital letters in our modern alphabet, known as Phoenician alphabet, but it's not Phoenician. It predates them. And so then we get the squiggly little letters called, Greek, which are really demotic. So that's the game that's being played, And I could go onto some more words, but I got long-winded there, so I think I'll hold it right there, and we can get into now samples of original thought by going into different words dealing with the body. How about that?
okay. I'm happy to just let you go. I love it, love it.
Okay, we continue then.
But yeah, let's get into the body parts. Um, I'm sorry.
I'd lend you my toolkit, Kip, but I don't think it'll fit through the phone. All right. Anyway, he's working and listening at the same time. All right.
Okay. Creating light for your mower. Kip.
Ninja, where'd
It's.
you go?
I'm
You're
here.
breaking up.
I'm
Oh,
here.
you broke up.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. What do you want me to start? You start. Do you want me to start?
Well,
I have a.
well,
I
no, you
have.
said you had some words
I've
on
got a. Yeah, I've got some.
uh, Ace of Wars. Remember, the Ace of War means the center of the royal eye. So we're looking at the central aspect or nature of these words, what we call words, and taking them back to how they came to be on our body. What do they mean? And I'll give one example. Okay. So we did the head yesterday on Forbidden History Live,
Yeah.
but so we'll now go to the very last part of our body, and it's the toe, and the toe is at the end, right? It's at the end, and so the toe is really, let me type it in there. TOE is correctly TAO, or it also could be TAV in the primary sense. See, it's the tav, the tau, or also known as the TAU, seen that way as well, right? It's the tau, meaning what? It's the end. It's the letter T at the end of the alphabet, you see? And so at the end of our body, then what would we find? The end. It is the tau. And there's the word toe. See, toe is tau. And tau means, the fulfillment or the completion when you get to the end, right? Like we talked about the tail yesterday, right? The tail is at the end of the story. The tail is at the end of the animal. The animal is like an energy vortex, and then everything comes together at the end. And so at the end of the story, the end of the story is the end of the alphabet. And if you can make it through the code and decipher the entire meaning of this great mystery, then you are at the Tau. That's when Yeshua was nailed to the cross. And he had the victory of light, and he conquered the flesh, and he rose from death. You see, that's when you rise from death, at the Tau, at the end. That's what we're supposed to do if we put on the Tau. the Tao of revitalization. There was a healing science in Korea I followed called the Tao of revitalization. You see, it's about life. The Tao is about life, and it's at the end. So that which is at the beginning is like that which is at the end, and that which is at the end is like that which is at the beginning. There's your AT, right? We talk about that, and then we find it in the beginning and atom, okay, ATOM. So maybe we should hear about this Om real quick, because that was actually the very definition in the dictionary of all scriptures and myths, and then we can go back to more on the Tao is Eastern. Certainly, it's an Eastern thought. Fox, yeah. And so let's look at that Om real quick, because it is appropriate. You know that we were just talking about this, and now I have a definition I was holding. It's a short one. Okay, let me open the book.
Yep.
This is in the Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths by Gaskill, and you can get it from Gramercy. Gramercy is the publisher. And okay, so Om, and of course, mainstream Christianity was, Eastern thought was demonized in our Western Christianity. You see, because they wanted to remove us from original thought, and so we have to go back to original thought in order to see and read it for ourselves, because everything we're reading is a controlled narrative of a deception.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Om, or AUM, it's also found spelled AUM, but that's a corruption. The U is a corruption, and it diverts from the original simplicity of it. Om is OM, and backwards it's MO for mother, and so the sounds are the sounds that we see generated through the material world. In other words, in the vacuum of space, there's no sound, right? And on the sun, in the material aspect of it, not going back to the spirit, but from that standpoint, or like on the moon, there's no sound. But when you come to Earth, that's what garden means, right? In the other word that we use for gan, garden, din means sound. You see, although we know that gar means war, so it literally means the sound of war. Of a garden is the sound of war, but din means a sound, and so down here is where the sound happens, and so the spirit breathed from the throne of the sun, and then his sounds came manifest down here on earth. So Om, a symbol of the expression of the spirit of love within the soul, the shul, or the word of God, or the Eshavor of the great Ulafhaim, more correctly. The word of God is the Eshavor of the great Ulafhaim, the inspiration of truth and perfection in the flowing light. Here it says righteousness, but righteousness is perfection in the flowing light. Okay, so Om Tat Sat. This has been considered to be the threefold designation of the eternal. So there's the threefold again. We've talked about the three, right? That'd be in the primary, sun, earth, and moon, but also the three stars of Orion's belt. The belt holds everything up, so the three must be very important. And here it's expressing another truth from another tradition. This is out of the Eastern tradition. So the Om Tat Sat, this has been considered to be the threefold designation of the eternal. By that were ordained of old Brahmanas. That Brahmanas is the sovereigns. That's the ancient priesthood running our world, the unseen hand, and also through the Vedas and the sacrifices. Okay, so the Om, the acts of sacrifice. So it's a sacrifice. Yahweh sacrificed his time and energy to bring forth this creation. No problem. He was happy to do it because he knows he's going to get a harvest. Okay, so the acts of sacrifice, gift, and austerity, as laid down in the ordinances, are always commenced by the knowers of the eternal. So it's always commenced by the knowers of the eternal, and this comes from the Bhagavad Gita, and I've never read the Bhagavad Gita. May have looked at it, but the Eastern, these, like the Vedas and all that, it's all a diversion. In the long run, I don't have time to waste on that. But we read the quotes here because it gives us the slice that is of interest to us. That gives us a comparative thought. We're not endorsing nor embracing this particular tradition. We are just wanting to know what they think, because when we know what people think, we can find out it was very common to what we were supposed to be thinking. In other words, the occult are expressing truth. Their religion is always looking good and expressing truth. Behind it is the corruption of the priesthood. And Robert, you just explained what a law dictionary is. Okay, I did, or is okay? Okay, good. Well, you have to call me and explain that on the side, Bob. Um, anyway, Om, the syllable is all. The syllable is all. A-L-L. Okay, why? Because the O, right? The O is the primary. That's completion. Going round and round with no end, no beginning, no end. So that is everything. Its interpretation is that which has been, that which is, and that which is to be. All is Om, and only Om. And whatever is beyond trinal time is Om. All the world is Brahman. That's the code word for sovereign. These are the ones running our world secretly behind the scenes. They are the front of the unseen hand, the Brahmin from the east. This has been part of this presentation from the beginning, because it's who's running the world. And so this is why they created a caste system. They were the first ones to create slavery. Okay, the caste system still there today in India. Four classes of people primarily, and if we add the outcast, that's the fifth. Okay, for all the world is Brahman, so they say. This self is Brahman. Well, that would imply then sovereign, because that's what the word originally was, and the B doesn't exist; it's a V. And then and there's your Avram as well, the star Ram. They're the power brokers, of course. They're the power brokers, and everything came out of India. All the sciences, everything, even kung fu, even the game of chess, even dice, you name it. Okay, the most superior mathematics, the flight. They were flying airplanes back a couple hundred years ago, and they covered it all up because they wanted us to think the Wright brothers invented airplanes. Continuing here, for all the world is as Brahman or Zavram. This self is Zavram, and this self has 4 quarters. That comes from the Madhukya Upanishad. Okay, so may the Indras Om. See, so all of this narrative about the Om only goes back to these traditions, because they killed us in our tradition. They killed the idea of the atom. That Yeshua is the first atom, the atom, the AT for the code of creation, and it symbolizes creation. The AT, the sun, and the fulfillment of light on the cross, and so we have to go back to find out what it meant, into other cultures. May that Indra Om. Indra is the unseen woman. It's really Indrani. That's the prime god of India. Om, that is the highest thing in the Vedas. That is all that is immortal, above the immortality of the Vedas. May that divine being strengthen me with wisdom. And that's Tayat Upanishad. So that's how they thought back then in these terms. Okay, and by the way, Veda we find today in Nevada. Nevada means the Vedas that came down, and that's where they got the anti-gravity Vimanas. So
Wow.
we're Hinduism is with us. Hinduism is running our world,
Yeah.
and so it's in Sun Tzu it says it's good to know the enemy,
Yeah.
and how they came to be. So it's important to study all things, to be in the know. We are supposed to be the age of enlightenment in Yeshua, the golden age of light. Okay, and so let's see. Okay, so continuing. So in the Prasna Upanishad, the great teacher uh, Pipalada says the syllable Om is the higher and the lower Brahman. That is to say, the Om is the Brahman. Om is Brahman, that would be sovereign, as because they had to create the code. They don't want us to know the word Brahman is sovereign. Om is sovereign, and as unconditional. In other words, when the Great Spirit said, "Let there be," well, nothing's going to stop it from that point on, right? And the Zavram in fictitious manifestation as the demiurge. Okay, so the demiurge, or here it says demiurgus, is here in Ishvarna, Isvara. But the demiurge is means the demon creation. Okay, it means the demon creation. And I don't think they can read that while I'm doing this. Ninja, why don't we go to just a nice graphic, you know, and we can put that up on a musical break that time to put that up. Okay, so in this teaching, Om is taken as a symbol of the higher self potential above. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one right there. In this teaching, the Om is taken as a symbol. And so, in other words, if we look at the word atom, right, it has to do with sound, right? At the
Yes.
first two letters, the AT, and then boom, the explosion. The Om is the sound, the primordial sounds that are generated through the atom. The explosion of creation. So continuing here. So in this teaching, Om is taken as a symbol of the higher self potential above, in identity with the higher self actual below. The first self is complete and perfect, but unmanifest. So that's Adam. That's Adam when he was taken up to the throne of the Son. You see, it says the first self is complete and perfect. In other words, when it said we were made in the image of
Yeah.
Yahweh, it wasn't talking about our flesh. It was talking about our hidden nature, our spirit, that we were capable of going from the lower to the higher, of transcending from darkness into light. You see, so here's the truth,
That's
an
beautiful.
absolute, yeah. Okay, in identity, okay, let me try it again. In this teaching, the seed planting, Om is taken as a symbol of the higher self potential above, in identity with the higher self actual below. So we're identifying with the light, and so that we can become with the one with the light. We have to identify with something greater than ourselves, and that's the proverbial truth there. Okay, so this first self is complete and perfect, but it has not been revealed yet. That's what it means, unmanifest. And the second self is under, get ready. The second self is under the illusion. That's the flesh. You see, that's the lower creation. Under the illusion, incomplete and imperfect in its manifestation of itself. And that's why we're going around in circles on this planet here, because we only have part information, and we have been lied to by very wicked power brokers on our planet. The sovereign, the real sovereign, but they're not sovereign. Of course, they're not sovereign. They're only sovereign of the earth, but they're certainly not sovereign with Yeshua. And they got a retribution coming their way. And so the two selves are really one self, and the one is the all, Om. Okay, almost done here. And then I think we're going to need a break, Ninja, unless you just want to do a quick follow up on this, and then we can go to a break, and then we can pick it up again on the words on the other side. That is what faith means. Faith being victory of light. The faith that counts for righteousness or perfection in the flowing light. It is the soul, the shul, with a face. That's the fascia, upturned to the eternal light. Yeah, looking up. The spirit, the Asha fire of Ashan, of man, intently lighting, intently listening for what the still small voice of the spirit of the Asha fire of Yahweh is saying. That's right. We gotta be still to hear that voice. That's what the ancient proverb says. Be still and know. It is waiting upon Yahweh daily, hourly, to ascertain his will concerning you, and to receive the grace, which is favor for all, to carry it out as far as it rests within you, so to do. Faith, being the victory of light, flings wide open the doors of your spiritual nature. Victory of light. That's faith in the primitive. It realizes divine energy. Right. How about talk about without limitation? How about infinite? How about beyond our wildest comprehension? It is that attitude of soul through which the great Dol of Hames, Yahweh's mighty works are done. That's R.J. Campbell, Sermon, The Faith, and so on, 1914. I'd love to get a book of R.J. Campbell. I got all his quotes in here. I have no idea who the guy is, and he's got some of the best quotes ever. Okay, and so when we pick it up in this alphabet next time, we'll be in Om Boros, and Aethor, that's for the air. Well, this is a short one here. I'll just say it's symbols of emotion and reason. So there's
And
Omboros,
motion.
and yeah, and ether with the A in front of it though, so it's Aether, the Aethor, and that's of the air. That's of course the air is superior, right? You can do without what food for almost 40 days. You can do without water for maybe about 5 days or 6 days, but you can't do without air, but for a few minutes, right? And so there it is. That's the power, the Aethor, the power of the eye of the sun of light, because the atoms are generating through nature and creating our breath, okay? Or we're dead, and our breath is being diminished right now because the methane is going up, and the sea plankton is going down, and sea plankton creates the oxygen more than all the trees on the planet, and they create the weather systems, and it's all going down. And that's why we need to pull this together about our true nature, who we are, where we are, when we are, and why we are, and what are we going to do about it once we finally get the picture, Ninja.
Um, are you asking me a question?
Well, I'm just throwing it out there. Whatever. We can go to a break, or if you want to, you want to do a follow up, that's fine. I'm just, it's in your hands now, straight heart.
Thank you, Desert.
You're the host. Yes,
I
right.
know, I was quite happy sitting
I'm just,
back and
I'm
listening
radical guest that you got to keep tame every now and then. You got to
and
bring me
just
back. All right.
yeah, yeah. So I'm soaking it up right now, Desert. Um, well, do you want to yeah? Do you want to take a quick break?
Yeah, let's do that. I need to go find chase my voice. It's somewhere out there, and I'm going to pull it back in, and then we'll do
Okay.
the next phase. We can do more words on the body. We can do a few more because we did toe, and we found out it's the towel. So we
Yeah.
now
Well,
from yesterday got the head, and now we got the toe. Right?
I have three. I have three that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's,
also, when you were talking about everything sounds funny when I say it with my Aussie accent. Um,
it sure does.
when when I'm sorry.
I just
when
tolerate it. I mean,
yeah,
geez.
yeah, I know
Good.
you
I
love
like
it.
that one. Good. But no,
Yeah.
I love it. I've come to love it. Uh, that's it's our differences really, are like a bouquet,
Oh,
and
okay,
it's
that's
fun. It
beautiful.
makes it fun too, I got to say.
um,
I don't know how the
I'm
blood
saying
doesn't stop
and I
rushing to
want to
your head,
talk
but go
about.
ahead. What?
Sorry.
I said I don't know how the blood doesn't keep running to your head, but go ahead.
I'll just I'll if yeah. So if I stand on my head, then I should be right. Um,
Yeah. Then
yeah.
then we're looking the same way. Go ahead.
Okay. uh, um. Okay. So I keep saying um,
Om.
and
It's om.
that's what I want to talk about.
You see, we
um.
have had it on our lips all of our lives. Om. Oh,
Yeah.
excuse me. Om.
Yeah.
Om. Oh, yeah. Good food. Om.
Yeah.
Okay. See, it's just
And
another verse.
yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you. Um. And I can't stop. Okay. Um. And you were talking about sound and there no sound being in space. Um,
In
there
a
I go
vacuum.
again with the and it
Vacuum.
made me think of I don't know who quoted this, but it made me think of if a tree fell in the woods. Would you know that quote? If a
And
tree fell
nobody
in the
is
wood,
there.
yeah,
Did it make a sound? Right.
yeah. It
Right.
made me think of that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right. Well, if it was on Earth, we know it did make a sound, but nobody was there to hear it.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense.
Right.
Okay. That one kind of, yeah, that kind of fell flat, didn't it? Um,
Well, it made a sound. That's all that matters. It's on Earth. Okay.
okay, let's go. Yeah, let's go to a break.
We better go to a
Go to a
break.
break.
Okay. I'm putting it on mute, and
Okay,
see you on
okay,
the other side. It's a great
okay,
job.
okay. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna get over some of these giggles, a little bit out of control. Thanks, fix it. Um, love you guys. Please Stay with us. We're going to talk about body parts when we come when we come back. Okay. See you after the break. Okay, welcome back to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series YouTube channel, and currently broadcasting from Forbidden History Live. Please subscribe to both. The links are in the description. You will be wowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
hmm
Welcome back, Desert.
Thank you, and thank you. And I just that was a wonderful statement by Fix It Fox. He says, "I've been in search of real information for so long. To have found you all has been a blessing." And of course we know the implication of that word, even though it's one of the Latin terms that But baroque means an endowment, enlightenment, and a separation with the mind's eye for seeing in the night. That's literally what he's trying to say with that. It's as if the Father, the great Father of Light, knew up until now I wasn't ready for this, and some don't have the ears to hear this at all. And that's so well said. Fix it, and obviously that's why
Yeah, it's
you got
beautiful.
you put the fix in. You got the
Yeah,
fix it attitude, and a fox. That's and in the gematria is actually three sixes, so it means you're a star. Stealthily, you're a star,
wow.
and because 666 is a number of a star, and not a bad number, and only the occult use it that way, and that's the distinction. Just like a gun is not evil, but anyway, it's so refreshing to know that somebody can actually follow what I'm
Yeah,
attempting to bring forth, because just like you said, you felt prior to this you may not have been ready to hear these things. At the same time, for 40 years I wasn't ready to be able to share these things, because it was so hard to convey a message that was still incomplete within your own journey, that you had to see some more pieces of the puzzle to really be able to be fully circumspect, or to complete the thoughts of all of these things based on what we talk about as original thought. That has been in your dreams. Okay, very good. Yeah, well, you're obviously a touched soul. In fact, I remember you had a very humbling video where you put yourself out there, and you said some very deep things. I think you had a challenging history as well in your life, and you just very humble. Humility is the first part of the victory of light, and that's what we all have to learn. That's why I don't consider myself to be above anybody I know. I put myself at the rock bottom. You can't get lower than flat on the. There you go, another opener, right, Ninja? For in other words, you know what
please
I'm
keep
saying,
going back.
right?
Yep,
I'm a pancake down here because I'm nobody. Okay, I'm not worthy to have received anything to the degree that I have received from the Father of Light. It's because things are so bad that he
yeah.
grabs somebody and he says, "Hey, I'm gonna give you the ultimate Neo download. Oh, shoo. Now can we do kung fu? Let's do jujitsu. Yeah, come on. And just plug me in, because I climbed a mountain one day 40 years ago and had no idea. I was so at a disadvantage in my life. I was totally introverted.
Me
I
too. Me
literally
too.
didn't know who I
Yeah,
was, and why I was here, and nobody cared about me. I was a
yeah.
free range chicken, and so it's a miracle. But my destiny started, by the calling of Yeshua. I know that he called me from my mother's womb, because I was conscious and seeing pink light, and remember sucking my thumb, and that's a fact. And I had recurring visions of that throughout the first 30 plus years of my life that confirmed that for me. So it's a difficult road that we're on, and we've got to hear things we've never heard before, and to realize that we've been given, not only have we been given incomplete, but actually wrong information. And when it starts with the spelling of words, then that's where the real term of putting you under the spell goes, because there is no real occult power. They have no power other than a jackboot and a gun and a punch in the nose. But we can, once we know the game, then we can be on top of the game and not below the game board. Okay, Ninja.
I'm just relating. I'm just relating to everything. Yeah. Like I was in the same place last year as and fix it. You said it very 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 well. Yeah. So I feel the same. And yeah, just relating to what you were saying, Desert. Um, being in the lowest of lowest places, like mentally, and being an introvert, and I'm just relating and
Hmm.
I don't know, empathizing, connecting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
wow.
being the political activist that got me out of the shell. Because once I, excuse me,
Yeah, I'm the same. I have to cough
just took my
too.
honey from my throat, and now hang on a minute. Yeah,
You good?
it was becoming a political activist. Once I saw the occult were coming to kill our families, I got involved, and I was scared to death of public speaking, and
Yeah,
I had to speak publicly in about 1992 for the first time, and I'd come in after all the veterans already tried to save America and didn't do it, and so but I was the next generation. Then I learned the truth. Okay, that it's a one world order. It's an old world order, and all the politicians are just fronts, and they're all drunk on blood, and they're psychopaths. It's perpetual war. That's the game. So we never have a moment of ease or comfort, or the 9 to 5 slavery mill. We never have time to stop and smell the roses and to find out
yeah,
what life is all about. They got us um, fully under their thumb. They perfected slavery in modern time. The best slaves are the ones who are willing to take care of themselves and to actually think they're free. You know, give me a break.
yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to continue. Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Desert. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I can just relate to all of that. I'm running out of Aisha Wars. Do you want to get into the body
Well,
parts?
okay. Let's lead into it because I have another card. One of the other cards I hear here was Venus. And
Yes.
because we talked about Mercury as AKA Hermes, also in the Greek or the Italian is Hermes. I think it's the Latin Hermes is Mercury, and then the Mercury is that liquid, what we call liquid metal,
Yep.
or what they call it, quicksilver,
Yep.
right? That liquid mercury is what's in the Vimana what's it called, the mercury vortex engine in the Vimanas,
Yeah.
that they use batteries to heat up the mercury. Then it starts to spin, and once that mercury starts to spin, then the craft lifts off the ground, and then they can go land on their pyramid civilizations all over the planet within minutes or at least a couple hours. And it goes so fast. So Venus, when I looked at it the other day, I said, okay, well, there's Venush. Okay, so let me put it in the chat. And this, because what do you hear? What word do you hear pertaining to the body? Do you hear in this word, Ninja?
In Venus?
Yeah. Do you hear? Change the sound a little bit. Okay. Do you hear any part of the body in this terminology?
Yes, I do. Do I have to
What?
say it?
Well, I don't know. What? Um, is it too graphic?
It's a word that I don't want to say.
And better not say it. I think you're probably wrong then. It's not. It's
Okay,
not. It's
I'll
not
think
a
again.
word that was embarrassing.
Um,
I'm typing
yeah, I'm
uh,
thinking.
and I'm shooting it out. Okay, right there. So Venus, the Venush. See, so the knowledge of the V, the knowledge of the vein.
Okay, okay, I did think of vein, but I had another word in mind as well. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I spelled vein wrong. Vein. See, it's not even spelled correctly. That's they all of our words are corrupted, so we can't spell correctly because they taught us Pig Latin, and none of the words spell correctly. You see, the vein. So in other words, So Mercury is right next to the sun, right? Mercury is right there, and that represents Yeshua, while then the sun represents the great spirit of Yahweh in this particular metaphor sequence. And so the messenger's right next to the sun and he's listening, then he brings us the message. That's Yeshua. That's the seed of the sun. That's the son of enlightenment, the son of the sun. And so what's next? The next planet is the Venus. The Venus. So the vein is coming out from the light. It's coming towards us, right? The earth, the third in line, right? And the Venus, the
wow.
knowledge of the V, what V? The virgin light, the mother. It's all coming out. You see, towards us. It's coming towards us. And so it all points back towards the sun, you see? And so Venus then represents the woman, and the Mercury represents the masculine, because the male in the storyline is supposed to be the messenger. It's typically the male. There have been some exceptions, but as a rule, that's why the hair, which is the symbol of wisdom, is classically long on the women going down their back, called silent wisdom. But then the hair in nature is converted through the man's face. He doesn't have the long hair like the woman. It's converted through his face, saying that he speaks the wisdom that the hair represents. You see, and so that's how that is. So the vein. So the knowledge of the vein. Okay, the vein is then the vein of light, and we saw that in the word Hebrew then being a corruption for really the avres, and the avres are then the star rays, the star rays. So that's the vein that it came down on. That's the vein, or the vine. Vein and vine are the same word. There's the play again. Now they trick us by changing the spelling of words. And the vein is going along for the ride on the tree of life. As you go into the woods, like here in Texas, when I lived in Texas, we'd always find the vine on the tree, right?
Yeah,
The vine
yeah.
is crawling up the tree,
Yep.
and you could break open the vine, and you could actually drink water. You can get water if you're starving to death out there in the woods. You can cut the vine open, and out will come a source of water, because it's there to create grapes. Typically, the vine, it creates wild grapes out in the forest, but it's the vein. And so that's what Israel, Eshrayul, correctly, was. It was a vein coming down, riding along on the tree, not because they were special, more special than anyone else. Although some of the characters were, like Zavram, Haim, Abraham, or Yaakov, Jacob, or Ashiach, Isaac. They were definitely indeed special. Enoch and Nova. All of these characters were. It said they were perfect in all their quality and character and their discipline. But this line, this is what then we also would call the nasal ray, coming from what was breathed into the nostrils, the nasal. What was breathed then comes down as a ray on the vine. That's why the Nazarene, what's falsely called Nazarene, is correctly called the nasal ray. The nasal ray that came down, meaning the pure element maintained of what was breathed into Adam, being maintained, coming all the way down the pike in spite of all of the corruptions, all of the fraud, all of the deceit and deceptions, and even the falling away eventually of Eshrayul, of Israel, because they were no better than anybody else, and in fact they sold out their birthright, but it was all meant to happen because they were the firstborn. They also represented the firstborn, and that's why we have to become the secondborn. And because the promised land was not a piece of real estate, but it is a state of being, and that's part of this great mystery that we talk about. So let's do the and you followed all that, of course, Ninja, right? So we can get right into the words on the body now. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Let's let's do this. Um,
Hold on. Bob's making a comment here. Okay, and Bob, you're saying when you were talking about the distortion of words. Okay, very good. I think that an answer to my question up. Got you, Bob. Yeah, that was your comment earlier. Yeah, very good. And Fix It Flat's saying fix it fix it flat again. Sorry, Fix It. I was a truck driver. Right? It's all I can think about is fixing that flat. Men are from Mercury and not Mars. Another line. Okay. That's a good point. Yeah, because Mars is the god of war, and we don't want war. So men must be from the messenger. Sure, that's a good point. And the lie women, the lie women from Venus, men from Mars. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, it's all based on perspective or non perspective, one or the other. So okay, so Ninja, you want to talk about a few parts of the body?
Yes.
I'm holding on to my seat. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, we'll start with the one that that I was going to say. Um, we'll start with ankle.
Okay.
Um, I see angle. I see angle there with ankle.
Yeah, I think ankle is spelled Ankle. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So let me type it in there. And there we see something rather profound. I don't know how to spell this word, from the Egyptian, but let me try. Uh,
Okay.
this may be
Now
this
I'm
may
on the
be
edge of my seat.
Ankh. Okay, here it is. It's close. Everybody will get it. Okay, see the ankle is the Ankh L, which would be correctly actually the Ankh Ool. Okay, the Ankul. But you see, so the Ankh, remember in Maitzar, falsely called Egypt,
Oh,
they carry the Ankh,
wow.
right?
Yeah?
They carry that the oval shaped thing with the cross, right?
Yes.
And the women, typically it was the woman who carried it for some reason. I'm not too clear on why it was just the women, but I guess it's because they represent creation. And so the Ankh-Ul is then the Ul for vision. So that symbol of the Ankh means that if you're carrying it, it implies then you have the vision. And that's what the woman in the metaphor was supposed to be, because she is the vision. Not only does she have the vision, she is the vision, because all of creation is female. It is matter. Matter is mother. And Adam backwards, when you add the R, is motor, and mother is motor. She's the vehicle that we are riding on, the female creation.
Okay.
And that's what they want to talk about then when they get into this thing about the divine feminine, but they're playing it up to the point where they deny the also the divine masculine, because they don't make the distinction between spirit or or matter, material creation, right? And so the woman served a purpose to bring forth the baby, but in the end the mother dies. That was the story in Isaac. Ashiach, remember, after he was going to be willing to
Yeah.
be a sacrifice,
Yep.
then his mother dies.
And
Sarah,
yeah.
Eshareha,
Yeah.
dies, and it was to tell a story that when he was willing to die to this world, the female creation is over, and it's now the spirit of the Father. And that's what they said to Yeshua at the end, 2,000 years ago. Show us the Father, and we'll be happy, because they only knew the mother, and that was the more primordial world that they were in. So ankle then, and then one. So an is also could mean one, and so cool. So one create. So in other words, it also implies one creation. Okay, cool. The Khool, Kho. Let me go. One Khool, and cool. Is something. The kh where we see in the primary for Cain, spelled Khan. Okay, so like Khan, as we talked about with the Persian, more correct spelling, not Cain, but that's a corruption. That's the cultic priesthood corruption from the original thought. And so what does Cain mean? One fire. You see, the KH is the primary of the keys, or the Cain, as we talked about. The cayenne is Cain, right? Cayenne is the fire, the cayenne, and so the keys, the fiery keys. The like in Kazar means the fiery keys of a star, right? So K is key, and so we see then, in this aspect of the fire of vision. So literally, Ankel then could mean also one vision of fire. Okay, are you getting it?
so how? Yeah, but I have a question.
All right.
Oh, hang on.
Okay,
Sorry.
let me go further. Hang on. That in other words, what we are supposed to be,
Yeah.
we are the superior product on earth, or the superior creation, or in the literal sense, literally because of our nature, the sovereigns of the earth. We are the sovereigns of the earth. We were told to dominate, right? To take control of the earth, to subdue it, and it was all made for our benefit, and also to be a teacher, but also a means of sustenance, right, as well, and maintenance for our time here. And so it's the one fire, in other words, right? It's one story. Our creation is one story. It's not, like, this Christianity. We talk about 600 different varieties of
Yeah.
Christianity
Yeah.
today in our modern time, which I call Baskin Robbins. What flavor do you want? But yet the truth is there's only one flavor, and it's the white. It's the pure, and it's the one that's uncorrupted, the one that's free from sin, the one that's been set free. Okay? And it speaks truth, and as Lynn put up there a little while ago, not a part of any lie.
Yeah.
The truth is not a part of any lie. Okay?
That's beautiful, but I do have a question.
Right.
Okay. How does that go back to ankle, like on the physical body? How does that?
Okay.
What's the significance there?
Well,
Like of
what do
the
you see
ankle?
here? Look at this. What do you look? What do you see? Tell me, talk to me about that. What do you see there?
I see two legs, two
Walking?
L's. Yeah,
Yeah, right. Okay.
and that's where the
So
angle. I'm just going to mute out for a second. I have to cough.
all right. All right. I don't know. Well, I'm
Okay, it's
still online.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
reconnected, so it'll probably.
That dirty word again, you see?
Wow, and it
Because
all goes back to what you were saying before with the ankle.
yeah.
And
In other words, we are
I
supposed to
see it
put on the
now.
perfection. We're not supposed to
Wow.
be stupid, corrupt, imperfect slobs. We're supposed to put on the perfection of all creation. That's what the creation came to be for us to become. A perfect soul that can go back to the light. A perfect soul.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for helping me see. I was having trouble making connections and things there. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Um
There's so much,
yeah.
there's so much to this.
Yeah. It's
I
beautiful.
gotta I'm seeing it
Yeah.
as we go. I may not have defined everything as I have now because I'm further down the road than I've been before, and so it's continually unfolding.
Yeah.
It's a proverbial truth. In other words, it's not my truth. It's not like one of the scriptures says that the scriptures are of no private interpretation, and
Yeah.
so this is not a private interpretation. This is the interpretation
Yeah.
of the symbol and the metaphor and the association within the Eshavors, within the words at the royal center of the eye. Okay?
Yes.
All right.
Well, um I'm feeling it again, Desert. Thank you. Thank you. Um
Yeah. Of
on
course,
to the
over here to spell
next.
chevron with the C, again to corrupt it, but
Yeah.
we see it's she, the she Veron.
Shiva.
There's Well, yeah, there's a Shiva potential in it. That's right. Yeah, it's a synonymous term as well. You see, that's what it meant. She is creation, right? Shiva would be creation, although it's we find it in the word Yeshua. Shiva is also Shua, but then we
Wow.
see it as the masculine. But remember, wisdom is feminine. It's known as Sophia. So all of these intertwines. That's the serpent, right? It's constantly
Yeah.
mixing
Yeah.
male, female, and they're doing the ballet together. That everything is the serpent. You know, everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
Do you want to go on to the next body part?
yeah,
Okay. I'm loving this desert. It's amazing.
right.
I thought of heel as on, and I've got written heel as in foot, and then I've got heel as in healing, and that's all I
Right.
have.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good one. Okay. I'm right taking a note here. Let me type it in so people can see it. Okay. You're gonna love this one, Ninja. Okay. Here it goes.
Okay.
Eel is. Let me
I'm
spell it
sitting
first.
by, sitting by. Yep.
Okay. Uh, it's the serpent. You see. So the heel. Remember, the serpent. The venom is used for healing, right? The serpent venom
Yes.
could be
Yes.
a healer. In fact, we my claim is that it was the very product that was used for life extension,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they could live to be near 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
And so the heel is the eel, implying therefore we are the serpent. We are the serpent. Okay, and so like prefers like. And so because we are a serpent, therefore it's telling us that perhaps the serpent has something to give us. I ate snake when I was camping in Colorado. I ate black
Ooh,
snake,
really?
and yeah, and
Ooh.
as they say, it tastes just like chicken. And but so the point being that in the metaphysics of our creation, the symbolism, then the ancients knew that the snake as a primordial symbol, the most primordial, being a straight line, and
Yeah.
that's what they used to make the obelisk with, a straight line,
Yeah.
symbol of creation. They knew then the serpent had magical properties in it that would be good for healing, heal. And so what? And then what are we told in the story? right? That the serpent would always be biting at our heel, and we needed to crush it under our foot, right? We need to step on that serpent, and it's biting at our heel. What is biting at our heel? Creation, our lower world of inferiority, until we wake up to the truth that we are not material, but we are power, we are energy, light, source, right?
Yes, you just sparked another question, but it's going to be a long one. Um, so we'll stick with the body
Okay,
parts because it's not a body part question.
I'll have to send you a bill, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. um, so do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Uh, this is my last.
Oh, by the way, just want to say something. Just want to say, hang on. I
Yeah.
saw something else here.
Okay.
Heal, Heal. You got to keep looking at it, and then it just starts opening up. Is
Yeah.
what was not preferred? What Jacob, he wanted Rachel, and he got Leah. He got the heel. He got that which was not preferred, which was the illusion, the falsehood on the first.
Desert.
Yeah,
Oh.
you see that?
I saw it
But
before and didn't write it down. I saw it before when I saw it. It
uh-huh.
just quickly flickered through my mind.
Yeah. And therefore it's a prime root of the also this word. He got hell. That's what he got.
Wow.
Because he had to work another 7 years, and in the
Yes.
process he became a greater slave to the Laban, the Bane, right? Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. See, all
Um.
variables of the same word. It's prime root. And the prime root is literally look at what's interesting about this word is, as I've told you, the L is a secret vowel. They took a vow to it. That's why it's called the vowel L. So the L is a vowel, and the H is also a vowel as well. It comes from deep within the heh, heh. You see, there's no restriction, so it's a vowel, and it's the he L, the L, the ul, the you see the enlightenment, the one that sees the naga, the wise serpent. Okay, the carpenter was called the serpent. He was a serpent twister. You see, he bent the wood, so he twisted wood. That was the naga as well. So what's interesting about this word is literally it's all vowels. There are no consonants, and that means it's a prime factor within the creative element of our story. In other words, it's telling us that we should focus on it. All vowels. So when you take away all the vowels, what do you have? Nothing. It's a mystery. You see. So it's being revealed. You brought on the right word. Okay, the heel. That was a good one, and plus the ankh as well. The ankhel. Uh huh.
I'm seeing the word hell in a new light
Okay.
right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
it's right there in front of us.
the serpent. We are the
Like
serpent. That's our
yeah,
hell. Right.
like the deception is that
Yeah.
uh, when we die on this world, we either go, the deception. We either go to heaven or hell. The perception of hell being somewhere other than where we are now, and looking at the word hell right now, it's obvious. It's telling us that this is hell, and we need this is where we need to escape from. We're already here. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Hell is the grave,
yeah,
and that's our
and
body,
and
and
with
that's
the
and that's also that's the first death, and the
yeah
second death is the grave of the dirt.
with the
Uh,
L in it. It's speaking to us. Um, wow. Okay, so you ready for the next one?
yeah, we'll do. And I assume Bob is out there still listening. I let him know we were going to do one. The work of the informer. We're going to do the next chapter. So let's do one more, and we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll read the informer because I do have symbols coming up as well. I got a good
Yeah.
one. The
Okay.
labyrinth.
I've
Okay, we're
got a
going to do
good.
labyrinth.
Oh,
Yeah.
my question that I wrote down that I want to do later kind of relates to that. So wow.
All right,
Um,
save it for that part then.
Okie dokie. Okay, last one. Arm made me think of
Om,
armed
om,
arm,
om.
and like the army, and they have all their guns and things, and they're armed like the arm.
Oh, armed. That's that Australian accent again.
Yeah.
Armed. Armed. Yes. Almost
Not the
sounds like
the arm.
they're armed. Okay, the AR. Oh, so okay. Please continue.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like you use your arm to
Right.
to
Okay.
and
Right. Okay. So let me write
what
it
I was
down.
saying before with armed and army and
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So let me write it down. Okay. Well, what's interesting is like okay, just to show AMO because we were talking about armaments.
Yeah.
Literally, as a form of the word what? AMORE. Right. Oh, amore. So when they're giving them when they're shooting their bullets at them, they're giving them some more love. Let's give them some more love. Let's give them some amore ammo. You see in there.
Wow.
Yeah. Or just like when they want to throw the big bombs, they say open the Bombay doors. There's Bombay, India, right? And then there's another town in India called Combat, so that's where we get the word combat from, India also. You see? And so the love, so the garden, the word garden means the sounds of war, and the flower means the flow of war, how sweet it is. And then you want, let's give them some more love, friends. Yeah, let's give them some ammo. Let's give them some more. Yeah. Okay. You see that how what a sick joke. Just like then we don't want to say
Yes.
good morning either, right?
No.
We don't want to be awake because awake is a funeral.
Yeah.
You know, all of the words, all of these things. Just
It's all backwards and
you know,
reversed and
yeah.
upside down and
It shows how sinister
skew
and
if
diabolical, sick,
yes.
putrid, psychopathic these people really are.
Yes.
How could anybody want? But they took blood oaths. They bought into a lie, and it sounded pretty good at first, but then they found out they were trapped in the labyrinth. And so I think that's where we should go next after we do a quick read. But okay, arm, real quick. So arm is so the prime root of arm is of course the A, and the R. But then together, what it creates is the AR, and then we get all the different words that come out of it for it's unending, of course. Like we have armament, arbitrary, uh, did I say argument, arrogant.
Wow, yeah.
We can keep going on with the
Yeah.
air, showing that the power word has a force for dealing with certainly with the military, army, armament, armor,
Yeah.
and all of that. So, in fact, actually, America on the shores of Normandy, there was a town over there called Armorica, and so I looked that up, and it meant being prepared for battle, so to speak, with armaments, and that's what America really is. It's that version. It's really Armorica, or as it was it Armoriku, the feathered serpent, the phoenix again, but the Toltec god Quetzalcoatl. All of these play on words, that they put on our face, and we see them, we don't get them. Armorica is actually in Webster's dictionary, 1828. That's where I first saw it, and I was stunned. I said, "Wait a minute, America, Armorica? A place for military. Isn't that what America is? A
Yeah.
military
Wow.
enclave, conquering the world, keeping them in check, right?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, the arbitrary, the arbiter. Don't yeah, all those things.
Wow.
Yeah, we put up. We can see it though. We also put on our garments. So our garments are our warments. What we wear at war, right? The gar's war. There's a fish called the alligator gar, right? It looks like some monstrous fighting fish, right? Swordfish or something. The alligator gar,
Yeah,
and it's
I can
typically in
picture it.
fresh water.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So you see, so that is the power of word, and then we can see the word far. So it's the power of being away, far away. So it's a lot of energy to go there. Far, FAR, um, or PHAR. Then it would have to do with the creation, the power of the creation. Far, like shulfar. Okay, but there's the original for far. PHAR, shulfar, meaning the knowledge of from afar, and far is also fire. You can hear the word fire. Of course, fire would be powerful. It would have the AR with it, right? Far, fire. So we can see FIRE. Remember, the I is a corruption. So it's not fire, it's PHAR or PHAYR. Yeah, PHAYR, Fayor also. So all of these are just different aspects, and it all takes you back to that primitive Indo-Germanic that I'm dealing with. and we're not stuck in the Hebrew and Greek, because those are the deceptions. This Masoretic, you know, Jewish, Yiddish is strictly controlled by their society to keep us in the dark. They know the secrets. Why do you think they sometimes spell Abraham with a B and other times with a V? They're letting the cat out of the bag because they can't be consistent, because they love, you know, showing their secrets. It's an ego thing. So they all can't stay the line. The lion is the lion. And yeah. Okay. So did we do enough damage, Ninja, on that?
For now, yes. Yes, does it?
Okay.
For now.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. And
That
so
was
so
my
I
last
wanted.
word. Yeah.
All right. So I want to see how much I got to read in here, and I'll tell you what. I wanted to go. This is a long chapter, and with that, I'd rather save it for. I think to continue. I think going into Labyrinth would be the next thing to do. I'm not sure I want to read all this, because I'll be out of my voice, and I think Labyrinth is a good way to conclude this part of the thought. And if I got time, I'll read this at the end. Okay, so let's go to a break.
And we'll,
Yeah. 5 minute break.
Yeah, sounds good. Because then we can talk about. I don't want to reveal anything. We can talk about what I want to talk about as well, to do that's related to the labyrinth, which is. I'm just wowing, because I wrote down this question before you even said that. Anyway,
That means you're waving. You're over there waving. Huh? You're doing the wave. Oh, back and forth. So it's like a serpent then, right? That'd be like the serpent at the football game. They all doing the wave, baby. Okay, go on. Let's take a break.
Okay.
And when we come back, the labyrinth. Okay, that's what they got us in. You see, this is going to be a good one. All right, don't go away.
Okay.
You stay there. I'm going.
Yeah, I'm just looking for I'm looking for a break. I can't. I'm looking for the. Sorry, guys. I'm really techie. Okay, we'll be back. Please stay with us.
What
I'm
they
loving
didn't want
it.
you to know.
That we tell right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Be right back.
All right. Okay. We'll be back. See you in a second. Okay, g'day. Welcome back to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're listening with NinjaCat 111 and Desert-Owl from the Forbidden History series YouTube channel, and currently broadcasting from Forbidden History Live. I might just throw in, I just want to say thank you, Lynn, for putting all the info in the chat with the PDFs and the capital letters with questions. Thank you, much appreciated, because I haven't said much this live stream. If you want PDFs, we take any size donation. We'll get you them. And if you do not have the money to afford to donate and you want copies, we'll get them to you anyway. That is not a problem at all. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the graphic. Okay, we have a copy of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary, written by Dezert-Owl, and it is it will open your eyes. It's the code. It's the code that Desert talks about on every live stream. It opens everything right up, so you can see the truth. And also a copy of the Book of Wisdom, and also a sample of the original Gospel with a more up-to-date version of the dictionary attached at the back of it. These all three are amazing. They really help to get the picture. Also, please subscribe to all the channels below. They're all in the description, all the links. We have quite a few channels now. Subscribe to Desert's other channel, the Forbidden History series, as well, which is now archived. But if you go back to June 21st last year, 2018, and start from there, it will help you. I was going to say understand. It will help you comprehend what is being shared here. Also, sorry, Desert, I'm umming and ahhing, it's getting late. We have a couple of new channels as well. We have the Lost Scriptures and Bible translations. Get uploaded there. It's beautiful. Like, it's Desert reading in original thought, like translating as he goes along. And the word, so that you can search by topic. It's a quick reference channel. We've got it up and running. There's a few things there. Parts 1 to 5 of The Big Lie, True Nature of Adam. That's all there. I've got one round earth, flat earth. I didn't want to have to mention that again. I've got one there from the Chronicles. There are others from Forbidden History Live that I still need to put up. All sorts of topics. The alphabet, A and B are there. The next one I'm going to put up, I'm working on it now, will be symbolism. It will be about chess, which was on one of the recent broadcasts on Forbidden History Live. So if you don't have the time to go back, and because there's a lot now, if you don't have the time to go back and look through all the live streams, because some of them are very long, you can go to the Cosmic Essence and find what you're looking for a lot easier there. So hopefully once I get a rhythm going, I'll be able to upload them a lot faster over there. It's just finding the time. So anyway, welcome back, Desert. Let's
Thank you.
let's get on with
Yeah,
it.
and with the PDFs, we ask for one request at a time. and we have several items, and any size donation. And of course, if you don't have the donation capability, then just let us know what you want. So we just ask one item at a time. Okay, and then after you take a look at one, you can come back and ask for another one. But we're just not going to give away the whole content. We are trying to find donations, people that want to support the translation project and our effort. We have a prison ministry also when we publish these works to get them to prison, and because people there have nothing but time on their hands, and they're suffering.
Yeah.
They've been denied the basics of life, and majority of people in prison do not belong there. It's a the part of the slavery racket, and that's what we talk about as well. So
Thank you.
okay, so very good, Ninja. Thank you. And so we're on Labyrinth, and that's really what we find ourselves in is a great maze. And actually, when you say amazing, there's the maze right there. So it's something.
Yeah.
It's really, in other words, it doesn't really define, the word amazing doesn't define what we think when we say what we mean, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not saying it's a maze. We're saying actually, hey, that was a great clarification, right? Great clarification. But instead, we say, hey, it's a maze. I didn't get none of it. You see, again, just like
Yeah.
awake
Like a
and
puzzle.
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, it's another trick, another
Yeah.
code word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So you could say, hey, it's not amazing, Desert. I got it. Thank you. You know,
I'm so gonna say that.
nothing amazing about it. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
so gonna say that. I'll
You
catch
cracked
you
the
by
code.
surprise.
It's all right.
Yep.
So, all right, Labyrinth. And Labyrinth is and Labyrinth is a maze, of course, for anyone who's not connecting the word. A labyrinth is a maze. One of the classic ones was seen on the movie The Shining. The Shining.
Yeah. There was a movie called
That
Labyrinth as well.
Yeah, okay, I'm not up on that one. But so is that worth watching? Is that that's
Oh,
some
it's oh yeah. I don't know. I saw it years ago. Like it's an older one. It had
uh,
what's his name? Is it David Bowie? David Bowie in it?
I'm not too attracted then to that one.
Yeah, me neither. But
I never
I
liked David
watched it
Bowie.
because of the
Yeah.
name of it,
Okay.
Labyrinth. It's
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway,
So
people can check it out if they might find something. If they
yeah,
do, let me know.
yeah,
Labyrinth, an architecture, an architectonic, architectonic structure, apparently aimless and of a pattern so complex that once inside, it is impossible or very difficult to escape. Boy, that sounds like planet Earth. Or it may take the form of a garden. There you go, the garden, the sounds of war, similarly patterned. Ancient writings mention five great mazes. That of Mezar, falsely called Egypt. There's another maze, which Pliny located in Lake Moeris. The two Cretan labyrinths of Kenosis or Genosis and Gortena, the Greek maze of the island of Lemnos, and the Etruscan at uh, Cilicium. It is likely that certain initiatory temples were labyrinthine in construction for doctrinal reasons. Ground plans, sketches, and emblems of mazes appear fairly frequently over a very wide area, but principally in Asia and Europe. Some are believed to have been conceived with the purpose of luring devils, how Lord, oh, they mean other people, okay, into them so that they might never escape. Well, yeah, of course, that's the idea. It is to be supposed, therefore, that for the primitive, the maze had a certain fascination comparable with the abyss. That's the earth. Uh, and the or the abyss also implies the cosmos as well. There's two. It's
yeah.
both opposite ends of the
Duality.
spectrum.
Yeah,
The uh, the whirlpool and other phenomena as well. Nevertheless, Waldemar Fenn suggests that some circular or elliptical labyrinths in prehistoric engravings, those at Pena de Mogar, for example, should be interpreted as diagrams of the cosmos. that is, as images of the apparent motions of the astral bodies. This notion is not opposed to the previous one. It is independent of it and up to a point complementary, because the terrestrial maze as a structure or a pattern is capable of reproducing the celestial, and because both allude to the same basic idea, the loss of the spirit in the process of creation. Okay, or the hiding of the spirit, we should say, not the loss. It can't be, but is the well, on an individual basis, I guess we could say that, but it's really the hiding, because the spirit is hiding, and he is to be discovered by dedication. Okay, where was I here? Losses. Okay, and that is, in reference to that, the loss of the spirit in the process of creation. That is the fall in the Neoplatonic sense, and the consequent need to seek out the way through the center, capital C, back to the spirit. Well, the center is the light, and that's where the spirit is hiding most definitely. There is an illusion in De Groen Leeuw by Grosse van Weerswyck, Amsterdam, 1672, which depicts the sanctuary of the alchemists, Lapis, encircled by the orbits of the planets as walls, suggesting in this way a cosmic labyrinth. The emblem of the labyrinth was widely used by the medieval architects to trace through the labyrinthic path of the mosaic pattern on the ground. Was once considered a symbolic substitute for a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Some labyrinths shaped like a cross, known in Italy as Solomon's Knot. Well, gee, that's the Vatican then, right? That's Solomon's Knot. And
Wow.
feared in Celtic, Germanic, and featured in Celtic, Germanic, and Romanesque decorum, are a synthesis of the dual symbolism of the cross and the labyrinth. They are known for this reason as the emblem of divine inscrutability. It is not difficult to make out in the center of the pattern the figures of the swastika, which adds to the basic symbolism of a suggestion of rotating, generating, and unifying motion. Well, of course, and it also means the light. That's the fan. That's the sharp fan. That's the power of the sun coming down, the light particles spinning. That's what the Philpot represents. And for dial, the maze signifies the unconscious, and also and remoteness from the fountain of life. Well, we're pretty remote from the sun, but not too far. It's shining on us anyway. Elaid notes that the essential motion of the maze was to defend the center. That was, in fact, an initiation into sanctity, immortality, and absolute reality as such, equivalent to other trials, such as the flight with the dragons. Oh, excuse me, not the flight, but the fight with the dragons. And at the same time, then dragon being the serpent. Okay, the dragon is a cover for the serpent. At the same time, the labyrinth may be interpreted as an apprenticeship for the neophyte who would learn to distinguish the proper path leading to the land of the dead. Okay, in other words, I think that the implication there is that because we have to die to this world, so we're seeking that metaphysical death. And even in Revelations, it says that they would seek death. People would seek death, but death would flee from them. They could not find it. So that's rather interesting, right? That they could seek death, but they couldn't find it. Give me a break. If anybody really wanted to die, there's no problem, right? But so it must be talking about then a metaphysical death, a spiritual death, or a metaphysical death to this world. You see, and so
Yeah. Wow.
what that implied was that the truth on transcendence was hidden, and
Yeah.
therefore the way to die metaphysically was lost through the deception of the priesthoods. There you go.
Wow. I've never. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have to die to this world.
Yeah.
Anyone who loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
Wow. Desert, thank you. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, you
Thank
keep
you.
hanging out with me, you'll hear some more that you haven't heard before. Okay?
Yeah, I know. I know. Desert.
You don't mind hanging out with the bird brain, do you? Of course not. It's what you get right here. You don't hear anywhere else. So, okay,
Okay.
that's right. I'm yeah. And in fact, we could say we are all labyrinths as well because we are convoluted, aren't we? I mean, we're a maze in itself. Like you ever try to figure somebody out, right?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
amazing,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yep. No, it's not
Yeah.
amazing.
Depending on how you look at it, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Look at
Okay.
that. We got the river of light flowing out of the clouds,
Yes, we do.
showing all creation, the Mo fire, the Mo green. That's a beautiful presentation like that. If we see it, see that's a what do you want to call it?
A book with water
Yeah,
coming
out of
out
the
of
book. Out of
it.
the book. It's like saying it's the book of life, but it's
Yeah.
also connecting with the sun
Yeah.
up above in the clouds. So
Yeah.
it's see it's showing out of the higher garden comes the lower garden, or it's like saying this is the picture that is in the light that was coming out, the creation.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
it would because what did the scriptures say that his works were finished from the beginning. So even before he said, "Let there be light," already the entire design of our creation was done. He designed it all prior to instituting it, and then let it unfold for 6 billion years of the cosmic creation,
Yeah.
It's just amazing, the beauty of the mystery unfolding.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Okay, so
Beautiful.
are we
I'm
are
just,
we
I'm
good on?
waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting for opportunity for my question. Yeah.
All right, let's do it, and we'll go to the Forbidden History of America, and we'll cap it off with that.
Okay. Okay. So this is what I had written down. I wrote this down at the start of the program before you mentioned that you were going to do a read about Labyrinth.
Okay.
This is what I had written down. Oh, it was in my head for the last few days. On Forbidden History Live is when it all started. A few days ago, or last week, probably. You were talking about a sailboat. How if it's headed into the wind, it doesn't go straight. It zigzags. And so I've got zigzag written down, and I'd like to know about those two little words as well, zig and zag. But also, I'm trying to think how to explain it. Okay, so the misconception that there are demons. Okay, there's so much to this now. I'm thinking about it. It's all frequencies, electricity, all related to that, and electricity travels in a straight line, and is it for? Oh, I can't think of what it is. The activity of arranging the inside of your house and your entrance according to is it feng shui or what? I think that's what it is. Um, Sorry, I'm thinking. Anyway, relating to the doorway, the entrance. If this is correct, you do not have you. It's recommended to not have a straight line to your front door, because that allows the quote unquote demons to enter your home easily. You need to you need to have obstructions. You need to zigzag it, um, because the demons travel along straight lines, and that's the electricity, the energy, the darkness, the dark energy, um, and the zigzag is the light. And I saw the connection with all of that when you were talking about the sailboat, zigzagging on the ocean as it moved along. And I also saw connections with the labyrinth, especially when you read just then, how it was created to trap demons inside of it, the zigzag.
Right, but you remember the demons and devils and all these things are just illusions. They're in the
Yeah,
maze of the mind.
yeah,
So
yeah. I
so
know.
so the only
I know.
potential
It's
that
just
so
that
so
from the
that's superstition. Yeah.
perception of
The su-
others. Yeah,
So the only mazes that were important and good were the ones against the real enemy, which is man. If they
yeah,
were designed, to like narrow passages, so a crowd couldn't run through, only one at a time,
yeah,
then they can kill them real easy when they come to the other side
yeah.
because it's a narrow passage.
I didn't
So
explain
yeah,
what I was seeing very well. I was just
that's all
seeing a
right.
lot of things all
I
at
just wanted
once.
I want to clarify. I just want to clarify
Yeah,
that because there's also the maze of the mind, and that's another challenge that we face. We're lost in our minds.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Okay, okay. So the words zig and zag,
Hmm.
do they have some sort of
I found it actually while you were talking in the Illustrative Encyclopedia of
really?
traditional symbols. Yeah, well, it wasn't in the one I've been reading from. It's in the other one that I finished also after 40 years of reading, and so I'm there. And so zigzag symbolizes lightning, fire, from lightning, and fecundity. And fecundity is a deep word, that we're most not used to using, but I think it just simply means procreation, of the creation of things. It is an attribute of all storm gods. The Babylonian Adad holds a zigzag or a bunch of three flames in his hand. The zigzag shares the symbolism of the trident and the thunderbolt. And so we could then say in a way that the sun, earth, and moon are all zigzagging around each other, right? They're going around each other in a zigzag. But the Z, you can see in the
Yeah,
very letter Z the lightning coming down. It's also the letter N tipped over on 90 degrees. So
yeah,
the letter N, that's why the letter N, as we talked at the beginning of the program, represents the serpent, just as the lightning would resemble a serpent. It's the electrical eel, so to speak,
yeah,
right? That's coming
yeah.
down.
See,
Uh,
electric. There's the electric again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. And then above it, zigzag is ziggurat, and the ziggurat that we find in Sumer and the Babylonian uh, area and Acadia. The Sumerian temple was built to symbolize the sacred mountain, dwelling place of divinity. It was a cosmic axis, meaning the very center of the hub that is going around, like it would be the North Pole, North South Pole axis. So it's the axis of the Aryan cultures in that sense. The cosmic axis, a vertical bond between the heaven or the sky and the earth, or the sun, earth, and the moon, and the earth and the underworld, and this is the underworld. Okay, not to be confused with any further in the grave. This is the lower world. It's what it means. Underworld is lower world. This is the lower garden, the lower world, and and the earth and the lower world, and the horizontal bond between the lands, built on 7 levels. There you go, built on 7 levels, but which are also symbolic then of the 7 spheres, right? That it goes out to Saturn. Saturn's day then goes back to the sun, the center, that which was first, the soul turn. Saturn is soul turn back to the sun. Built on the 7 levels, the ziggurat represents the 7 planets and the planes of existence. There you go. The 7 planets and the 7 stages having 7 metals and colors, therefore potentially representing the rainbow in that sense as well. One, black as Saturn, and symbolized as lead, and two, red brown Jupiter, symbolizing tin. Then 3, rose red, Mars for iron, and that's so the red is the oxidation of the iron. And 4, gold, the sun as gold. 5, white gold as Venus, representing copper. And 6, dark blue for Mercury and quicksilver. And 7, silver for the moon. Okay, and so there we go. Got a little zig right there to. Yeah,
So
and
shouldn't it be thinking with the letters, the symbols? Shouldn't it be zag zag instead of zigzag? Zag zag. That sounds funny.
right. It's the I is a corruption again, so that's a modern term, zig, but it could mean it could be a zog. Zog
Zog.
probably has meaning.
Yeah.
If we change the vowels, we get variable potentials. But clearly it would be the A or the O. Zag, zag. It may be zag. So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh huh, yeah. We're not there. So everything. Well, the beauty behind knowing the original forms is I know one thing is a fact, that I can take us back to the closer to the original than anyone else is doing. Even the scholars with the Indo-Germanic dictionaries, I correct those dictionaries. I correct the Aramaic dictionaries. I find the lies in
Yeah.
the Strong's Concordance. Scholastics is not going to let the authors of these dictionaries say it like it is, so they edit, and that which means to remove, and or they've been educated by the college anyway, so they only know so much. They only know part, not all, but part, and they're not coming at it from the spiritual end like we are. Therefore, Yeshua is my seed planter, my teacher, my tree of knowledge, and it's His will that it be known. It is absolutely His will that the grand deception be exposed. So uh, so therefore. I know that we are further back towards the original, and we have exact root forms with the A, with the V,
Yeah.
with the certain letters, the L and the R and the H. I define these things,
Yeah.
and these are the primal roots. They looked a little primitive on stone caves or walls or wherever we found them in Sumer, on clay tablets in all these different places. What they did is actually flipped them over and reversed them, because when you flip them over, as I show in that one dictionary, right, Ninja with Atom, ADM,
Yeah.
when you reverse it and you flip it over, you can't miss that it's ADM, but
Yeah.
but you never would have got it when it was upside down and reversed.
Yeah.
You see? So
Yeah.
showing that these root forms that I'm talking about go right back to the primal. Why was it necessary for them to flip it over and reverse it? Because it's their mother. It's
Yeah.
their code. It's their Lu cipher. It's their true cipher, that Lucifer means true cipher. It's not a woman with big boobs and a dress flying around all over the world doing damage. It's a culture that is hiding the light from us, and they call their mother, because they don't like the Fae. The Fae is the virgin light. They prefer the Lucifer, and that's what Albert Pike said in this book, Morals and Dogma. Our God, and it's goddess, it's not God, but that's how they trick us again. They reverse everything. So if it's female, then it's going to be male. If it's a male, then it's going to be female. And he says, our God is Lucifer. Doubt it not. Doubt it not. Okay. Huh.
Sorry, you just made me think of something else. Wow.
That's sore rays. That's sore rays. Your eyes are red with soaring rays that came from like staring at the sun.
Okay, please give me the
You got,
sunrise.
you got red eyes. No, it just means you got red eyes. Sore.
Actually, I do have red eyes at the moment.
All right.
um, yeah, it's just from being
And there's the
overtired.
Z.
Yeah.
There's the Z in that word. See, they corrupted it with an S, but it's Zor. The Zor is up there. What goes around when you look at it? What happens when you look at the sun? You cry because you can't
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah.
You see, so you got Zores. You are Zore. Because it means you're. So I'm just giving you an example. Original thought off the cuff. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Um. Uh. Uh. uh Luciferian. There's a church here. Called. Um. I think it's Luther, like with th in it. Lutherian or something. Yeah, it just sounds very much like Luciferian. Um,
Yeah, I've always noticed that with Luther. It just may be an enigma. I don't read anything into it because it seems everything about the story of Luther, is legitimate. He got blamed for a lot of the slaughter that happened in Deutschland. Through this, the cutting away from the Vatican, there was a lot of slaughter. But he had no. I don't think he was a part of that. It was just the way people react. People are
yeah,
stupid always,
yeah.
and therefore, yeah,
Okay, thank you. Um, wow, wow. Yeah, I'm all wowed at the moment.
yeah. You said
Yeah.
on cue when you said thank you. You said the onk cue. Okay, going back to the ankle again, right? Okay.
Ah,
I guess you lifted up your heel to me, right? So
yes.
you did. All right. I
Yeah,
could I
well,
could see
yeah,
that.
well, since our toes are
She's
touching,
waving at me
yeah,
with her foot now.
yeah.
Okay. And since that's the side that's facing me, it figures. All right. All right. So, anybody got any comments, questions, or complaints out there? Love to hear from you.
And you're
And
welcome to
we're
call in.
we're just
Uh,
trying to make lemonade out of lemons. The lemons they gave us. Um, it's a tough road we're on in this planet, and a lot of suffering. I could try. I guess I could try with the last remaining time, then do the read because I know Bob wanted, to hear the Informer, and I didn't want to, but it was a big chapter, and I didn't know if I should maybe cut it in the middle. Let me look at this thing real quick. Here, how
okay.
big is this chapter? But it's good stuff. It's about our enslavement, and
Yeah.
and and that's what we're talking about here. So look at this. Okay, come on. Oh, gee. All right, I'm going to just read a little bit. I'm going to just, because there's subtopics, subheadings, and so I don't have to go. I think I'll go right here to this part. And yeah, I see my stopping point. So okay, I'm going to go there, and let me just get a tag for that, and then I'll know we're good. Okay, and I want to welcome any new listeners that are out there. If this is the first time you're hearing this stuff, then it's like the first time you're hearing it, and your head will spin a little bit, and it'll be
My head still spins.
you got to go back and listen to some of the other broadcasts. Or so here, go hear some of the specific stuff that we talk about on the Cosmic Essence, okay, and subscribe because we're loading all of these longer productions on Cosmic Essence as per topic, cutting out all the other parts of the program, just that specific item we talk about, just like Labyrinth. Probably eventually, the word labyrinth will be there in the Cosmic Essence, and you could just hear about that one particular topic. So that's what we're doing. So here we go, chapter 6, merge with the modern time, and we're in the Forbidden History of America by the Informer, who's now passed away. And Bob knew him, my buddy Bob, who was on here earlier, knew the Informer, and because he was a student of the law and of all the conspiracies of taking. Oh, I said a dirty word there. Forgive me, and they're probably going to cut me off now, but that's okay. They're going to cut
Whoops.
us off anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, the spiral say, the spiral sea. Okay, there we go. The vortex that sucks you down. All right, merge with the modern time. All revenue is collected under maritime principles. They wanted to have a merry time. That's why. Okay, the Huntress, 2 Ware, Davies, 82, 89, 4 Westlaw, J38, 12 Federal Case, 984 at 992. Quote, in this country, revenue causes had so long been the subject of admiralty cognizance that Congress considered them a civil causes, considered them as civil causes of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. And to preclude any doubt that might arise, carefully added the clause, including, etc. And that's what they did also on the 14th Amendment when after the Civil War. They said in any other legislation required to enact this, right? And so the very first article in the Bill of Rights, which actually had 2 sub clauses, and that's really where they enslaved us, and that's also known as the new Constitution. It's actually the all the articles after the 13th and 14th Amendment, which are just the parking lot of all the further legislation where they took our world down here, and that's what most people don't talk about. So this is clear proof that Congress considered these words to be used in the sense they bore in this country and not in that which they had in England. The act gives exclusive admiralty and maritime jurisdiction to the district court as a court of the law of nations. Benedict on Admiralty, 7th edition, jurisdiction, subsection 104. It is also abundantly established that by the grant of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, the national government took over the traditional body of rules, precepts, and practices known to lawyers and legislatures as the maritime law. Maritime, they're going to have a party on you. So far as the courts invested with admiralty, that's on the high seas, that's contract law, jurisdiction, admiralty jurisdiction should accept and apply them. You get on board. What he says is the law at the time he says it, or you're going to get walked the plank, or get keyhauled, or something like that. And citing U.S. versus McGill, 4 U.S. 426, 1 L edition, 844. The words of the Constitution must be taken to refer to the admiralty and maritime jurisdiction of England, from whose code and practice we derive our systems of jurisprudence, and generally speaking obtain the best glossary. Per Justice Washington, subsection 105, Benedict Spura, as to recognition of state regulation of maritime law, the matter is admirably stated, but in Romero versus International Terminal Operating Company, 358 U.S. 354 79 S CT 468, and all these numbers, I'm going to bypass them. 1959. See also in the matter of Alexander McNeil, 80 U.S. 13 Wall, and then so on. You now know why the compact Constitution, in brackets, embraced the Navigation Act, Townshend Act, the Townshend Act, introduced by the British Board of Trade, where maritime controlled all the courts. Merchants are corporations and are subject to this law, and also the corporations are titles of nobility, never were allowed, according to the original doctrine. All insurance, and that includes Social Security, because they claim it's insurance, even though it's not, is subject to this law. To digress for a moment on the SS insurance, Social Security, Socialist Insecurity, I now quote from analysis of the Social Security system, hearings before a subcommittee of the Committee on Ways and Means, House of Representatives, 83rd Congress, November 27th, 1953, Part 6, stating on page 881, Mr. Wynne did the Social Security Act, the Social Security law as enacted on August 4th, 1935, designate the Title II arrangements as insurance. Mr. Altmeyer, so that was Mr. Wynne asking the question, Mr. Altmeyer, and Mr. Altmeyer said, no, it did not. Mr. Altmeyer again, yes, sir. And now, in justice to Mr. Witt, and because of the importance of this legal question, which I have no doubt will be raised and has been raised by the chairman of the subcommittee on previous occasions, it is important to note that Mr. Witt uses this expression, insurance contract, not as a lawyer would use that term. This insurance is established as a matter of statutory right. There is no contract between the beneficiary and the government. Mr. Dingle, then. Congress knew that, did it not? Excuse me. Oh, I got to sneeze here. Hang on. He asked a question. Congress knew that, did it not? I got to sneeze again. All right. Sorry about that. Yes, of course they knew it. They always know what's going on, and they just closed their eyes. I'm sure it did. And Chairman Curtis, Mr. Altmeyer, is it your view that the Title II does not provide an insurance contract? Mr. Altmeyer again. In the sense of an individual contract, it does not. We could even talk about that with the IRS, right? Like, where's the contract, right? Chairman Curtis, the individual who perhaps was 21 years of age in 1937 and who has been in covered employment since then, since 1937, and will have to continue to pay these taxes until he is 65, has no contract? Whew. Is that your position? Emphasis mine. Mr. Altmaier, that is right. All a shell game then, right? Chairman Curtis, and he has no insurance contract? Mr. Altmaier, that is right. Chairman Curtis then gives a lengthy talk, and at the end says, Chairman Curtis, but referring to those statements like a social insurance card is an insurance policy. A policy, to the minds of most people, in the generally accepted meaning of the term, means a contract that cannot be changed by either party. The people who have been covered under Social Security do not have a contract that cannot be changed by one party, the government. By the one party, the government. Is that not true? Mr. Altmaier, of course, I am amazed. Oh, there we go, amazed. Then it sounds like amazed. Mr. Chairman, that it took all this time for us to have a meeting of the minds. Now, Mr. Eberharter makes a statement that proves the Social Security was strictly meant for covered employment, as mentioned above by Chairman Curtis. It is mentioned in a few of Title 5 and 42 U.S.C. codes, United States Code. And that's not the law, but that is evidence of law. People use the code and they lose every time going there. Try to get the, to get the government to give you the precise definition of covered employment. They won't, because to do so, truthfully, shows it only applies to employees of the state. That's right. They made us all residents, and residents mean we were indentured into a phony maze. There's that labyrinth right there of a construct of a maze of hyperbole and diction that we don't ever get, and it's all a grand illusion anyway. But Mr. Altmaier, now he's speaking again. Now it is inconceivable to me that the Congress of the United States would ever think of taking action to prejudice their rights that have developed under existing legislation. On the contrary, and by the way, can you say banking? On the contrary, the Congress of the United States, Congress, opposite of progress, of the United States has continually improved, oh sure they have, increased their benefit rights. Mr. That's all right, Ninja. It's a wonderful planet we're on here. Nothing, it's all, the Wizard of Oz, right?
I'll mute out, you carry on.
It's the Wizard of Oz. Okay, we're never going home, Dorothy. Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, but we're never going home. They lied to you. Mr. Eberharter, an unmoral, that's a bad word, it's unethical, but they got those morals going on. They wanted more, they got it all. An unmoral Congress could take away a veteran's pension. An unmoral Congress could take away the retirement benefits of the civil service employee. Could they not? Emphasis mine, Mr. Altmaier. I think so. Then, and Mr. Wynn quotes from a court case concerning Title II to Mr. Altmaier. Moreover, quote, moreover, the Act creates no contractual obligation with respect to the payment of benefits. This court, which creates vested rights and pensions and other gratuities involving no contractual obligations in Lynch versus United States, 202 U.S. 571, 556, 557. Is that a correct statement, Mr. Altmaier? Mr. Altmaier, do you mean, does that appear in the benefit? Mr. Wynn, yes. Mr. Altmaier, yes, it does. Mr. Wynn, I may point out that the Bureau of Internal Revenue, aka IRS, had said that benefits payable under Title II, Social Security Act, are not subject to taxation of the recipients. This points out that the Bureau of Internal Revenue considers such payments to be gratuities, and also goes into the question of the fact that the payments are being paid to promote the general welfare of the United States, and it has, as a result, held then not to be taxable. In fact, they didn't even mention the fact that there is no money, because this is all the transition after the bankruptcy and when we were declared the enemy by the War and Emergency Powers Act, and continuing here. There you have it, people. It is a unilateral, that means only one signatory, a unilateral contract that has no contractual obligations, and it can be canceled at the whim of the Congress. It proves you are either part of the United States in joint venture or that you are a government employee receiving a pension or a gift from the state, erroneously called government. Mr. Kwalik is right on point that the state's income tax is predicated on Title 4 United States Code, Section 110, 111, at all sequential, and they consider you to be a state or United States employee. That's a resident also. The Employee Approximations Act of 1935, that's when all the bankruptcy happened. That's when we got the New Deal, and it was a raw deal. Makes you an employee of the government eligible to receive these pensions, benefits when eligible to receive them. Okay, obtaining a social slave number. Thank you, Informer. Remember, the Emergency War Powers Act made you, the people of this land, the enemy of the private Federal Reserve banking system when the banking cartel wrote the act and presented it for the president to sign March 4, 1933. A private concern wrote that law, not Congress. A private concern or private corporation wrote that law, not Congress. Congress had no idea that it was done executive, in quotes, Hitler, see quote below, that this would be the law that they shall agree upon its terms. Thank you, Patrick Henry, for showing us the monarchy created by the Constitution. One more point before ending this short piece on Social Security, and that is the conclusion statement at the end of the Social Security hearings, quote, in conclusion, I would say for a few words to those who dislike and fear the possible consequences of our government's entry into the social insurance field, as already indicated. That's called welfare, by the way, and whenever somebody can give you something, they can take something away, you see. As already indicated, I am one who feels deeply that the level of social insurance benefits must be kept within the proper bounds lest the system get out of hand and become a means of perpetuating a political party in power. That's right. It created the Democrats in particular, right? The socialist handout structure, and they started, I don't even want to get in that. Once entrenched, the executive would use social insurance to enslave, which is what they did, a nation, right? The people. Hitler's control of the German social insurance system enabled him to force individuals to conform to his program or else. Those who deviated stood to lose their benefits. In social insurance, we are therefore dealing with something that could become an instrument of what? Dictatorship. My conclusion, as well as many others, is that we are already there. Then this was written 20 years ago by the Informer. We are social slaves under political dominion of the executive authority. Without the, quote, mark of the beast, unquote, social security number, you can't get a job. My son was told by a congressman, Chris Smith of New Jersey, that the social slave number was his license to work in this land, and he was so sorry, but if he doesn't get the number, he won't be able to work. When he did get a job, Senator Lautenberg's ADP Corporation, which writes checks for the corporation my son worked, refused to cut him a check because he didn't have a social slave number, and he was then fired. Can't get a driver's license, can't open a bank account, can't get a discount card on certain major chain stores, can't go to the doctors without them asking for your mark. Jackbooted stormtroopers, as a matter of policy, asked for your social slave number. President Hitler, whoever fills that office under the War Powers Act, 12 U.S.C. 95 and B, A and B, exerts, quote, executive authority, unquote, even though Congress gives the illusion that it makes all laws and is in control. That's the illusion. You see, it's a puppet show. It's the Federal Reserve running the show. They're at the head, and Washington is the puppy show. It's all irrelevant. It's all talk of nothing that matters. It's all the propaganda, machine, the illusion, the theater. It is not as long as 12 United States Code 95B still exists. Now, is it still your position, dear reader, that because you okay, is it still your position, dear reader, that it is your constitution and you are in control because you are the sovereign citizen? That's an oxymoron. Over government, and they must listen to you. Sovereigns can always get a job without having to have a social security number, right? Tried it lately? Haba, humbug. Now back to the maritime international law. All entities, law merchants under the Uniform Commercial Code (UCC), subject to this law. All joint venturers with those above mentioned categories are subject to this law. Since treaties come under international law and law of nations, all that enters them are definitely bound by the Admiralty courts under maritime principles. In this period, as we have said, the merchant courts and the merchant law are as closely connected with the maritime courts and maritime law that we may regard them as branches of the same law merchant. Court, and there are in commerce, that's all they're about. There is no law, it's about trade, contract, but it's all an illusion because you never entered into a contract with them, you see? That's the illusion. And you think it's your government, but it's an overlay government. America was gone a long time ago. Never really was. It was the occultic cult God by Quetzalcoatl, Americu, the feathered serpent, the phoenix, the new Atlantis by Francis Bacon, all the above, and nothing but an illusion, ladies and gentlemen. And we're almost done here. When it comes to the states, they too were bound by this law when collecting revenue, because the court stated, quote, the role of the state in those development the role of the states in the development of maritime law is a role whose significance is rooted in the Judiciary Act of 1789, and the decisions are this court and the decisions of this court. So that's unquote Romero versus International Terminal Operating Company, 1959, 358 U.S. 354, and so on, yada yada. And they also quoted a bid 372, another case to wit, quote, and the state courts within the limits embraced by this law, Act of 1845, exercised a concurrent jurisdiction in all cases within their respective territories, as broadly and independently as it is exercised by the old 13 states, whose rivers are tidewaters. Okay, the rivers are the tidewaters, and where the Admiralty jurisdiction has been in full force ever since the adoption of the Constitution. The propeller Genocide Chief et al. Versus Fitzzo et al. 12 Howe and 443 also C. E.g. Madurga versus Superior Court of California 346 U.S. 556 516 through 561. And then we'll pick it up on IRS agents are foreign power from abroad. That would also include bar attorneys as well, ladies and gentlemen. It's the greatest show on earth, and we're all witnessing. They destroyed our world. They took control of our minds, our schools, everything. They never taught you law in school. They never taught you the true nature of money. They taught you nothing. It's all they removed, and they got you to memorize all the adjectives, adverbs, and prefixes. I never wanted to memorize that stuff, and I didn't need it to know the Indo-Germanic. It's just amazing what they got us to talk about and think about, and then they even put TVs in schools over the last 30 years ago. They started putting televisions in the school, and they had quiet time, and they just watched television and ate snacks, and and that was their intellectual awakening. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, and Ninja, the Forbidden History of America. What they didn't want you to know that we tell right here, because somebody's got to do it, and I'm sick of the political, but we have to go there. I've always wanted to read the book by the Informer, so we're doing it here live. I don't have time to read on my own anymore, so we're doing it on your broadcast, okay? And I know for some people out there it's relevant. And wait a minute, Mew Mew is trying to get here,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, or to call.
She's no, she's trying. she's trying to make it into the chat because she always has trouble with her
Oh,
signal. Yeah, with her internet. So yeah,
uh,
I just want to say g'day, and thinking of you all the time, Mew Mew. Hope you're safe, and yeah, that would be amazing if she actually got in here. So yeah,
well, we would like a
yeah,
report on what's happening in South America, and and yeah, because she's been toughing it out. And yeah, okay.
yeah.
So any follow up, Ninja? I
Yes,
know we
yes,
changed rhythm here, but
yes. I have a follow up.
yeah, okay.
um, firstly, when you, I should have written more down. Privatization. I can see why they've been slowly uh, doing that now. With what you were reading there, I can see why they're doing that. They're just it's all part like it's all part of the sorry, I'm tired. It's all part of the deception, and they're just getting us used to it. Yeah, with all the companies and everything
Right.
and
Well,
privatization.
the thing,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, the thing that they couldn't do, you see, in other words, they could not destroy the what's called the de jure, or the what is known as in essay. In other words, it's like they created a playing field,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
and they couldn't destroy the original playing field because it's enacted in a way that is perpetual. Like we talk about Lucifer being perpetually, like a corporation. Lucifer continues on from generation to generation, for thousands of years in the occultic world, and so she's never going to die because she lives on by those who continue to enforce the institution of it.
yeah,
So the de jure um, America still exists, but it's called in essay, meaning it's like the football on the playing field is just laying there, and people are walking past it, but it's the football is waiting for somebody to pick it up
yeah,
and run with it. You see, because it's always there. So what they did is then they created an illusory world. In other words, they couldn't take away your rights. Um, they couldn't take away your rights. And so what they did is they created an overlay
yeah,
um, system, or as
yeah, yeah. I'm following.
Harmon Taylor,
Yeah,
an ex-attorney who I used to interview on my network, he calls it the hover zone. In other words, this is the terminology of this state. When you read the legal parlance, they always say this state. Like you have offended this state.
yeah, yeah,
And you didn't hurt nobody, but apparently this
yeah,
state is offended.
yeah,
And so he says it's in the hover zone. It's 4 feet off the ground. It doesn't exist, but in the minds of people.
yeah,
And so if you think you offended that state, I would like to call this state to the stand, please, and to please explain how I have injured him. But all these attorneys are operating for this state. You see, so it's the grand show, and the grand, so people bought into that they are residents. They bought into that they are employees. They bought into that they are um, oh, okay. Yeah, it just escaped me there. I got distracted. I got some texting on my phone, and it just totally. But so they're buying into the illusion of like with the automobile, right? That it is a vehicle. A vehicle is in commerce. It's a commercial trade that you have when you're going in your conveyance. We can call it an automobile, and you have somebody seated with you. You're the one who's in the automobile. You're riding. You're not driving, because driving is a commercial term, like driving a team of horses. But when you ride one horse, you're riding
yeah,
for pleasure, for fun, or whatever you want to do, or to go somewhere. You're not driving. You drive the commercial wagon, and so So you bought into the fact that you have somebody next to you when they pull you over. They say, they call him a passenger. He's not a passenger. He didn't pay you money to go for the ride. You see, he's a guest. He's a guest, and he's going along for the ride. So this is how they've convinced us in the false illusions of these false terms that do not apply to us, but they convinced us that they do. You know. Yeah.
One day I would like to look into the word passage. Um,
hmm
yeah. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
thank you for explaining all of that. I was following, but when you started talking about passenger, um, yeah, I started seeing all the different meanings of passage.
hmm
Um, yeah. So, but yeah. Uh, we'll save that for another program.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm,
Um,
I'm winding down here,
me
Ninja. I
too.
gotta find out what that was about and deal
Yeah.
with it. So
Can I just make
yeah,
one more comment? You don't have to.
sure.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just one more comment. With the education system, how they teach us nothing in school, I see that as deliberate so that they can get more money out of us after we leave school doing extra courses and university and everything else to qualify for a job. Yeah,
hmm
in
Yeah,
this
that's after we
thing.
got what they called outcome-based education.
Yeah.
They never told us what the outcome was going to be
Yeah.
or based upon, right? Yeah, that you're going to be as stupid as a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that yeah, so I'm winding down too. My mind's starting to um
Right.
fail.
Right. Okay. Well, then let's wrap it up. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening, being here on the broadcast, for all the fine comments. Thank you. And we
Yes.
are doing our best to just bring a substance of import that yeah, we're importing it on the Admiralty high seas of deception, and bringing you the goods that they didn't want you to know, ladies and gentlemen. And so. So Ninja, thank you for your dedication to the truth, for staying up late, and while you're struggling, in a great struggle yourself, I hope people will get the documents from you, make a donation. We give half to you through this broadcast, and so please consider Ninja, or make her an outright donation, because she has to relocate and she needs support. Okay, and thank you, Lynn, as well. Okay, for our being our Lingineer on
Lingineer. Yep.
the channel here. Okay, so I'm going to let you go, Ninja, and be well, and all of you, thank you again. We'll be in touch. Hopefully, don't forget, look for us tomorrow evening. We should be doing it at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday with Forbidden History Live. Okay, Forbidden History Live, and don't forget, subscribe to the Cosmic Essence as well, and check us out. Check out what we're doing, what we're talking about, because the truth is stranger than fiction, and it's what they didn't want you to know.
That we tell right here.
Thank you, Ninja. We'll see you. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Thank you, Desert. Peace and light to you always. And I know you just left, but yeah, that I have to do this. This is my relief. This is my soul novation. I hope I said that right. Um, okay, so that was the Forbidden History Chronicles. Um, it was amazing, or was it? Um, okay, so I'll see you guys in the chat the next Forbidden History Live. Tuesday, I think Desert said. Tuesday morning, Tuesday after sunrise. Um, all right. Love you guys always. Thank you for joining. Lynn, thank you for the. My brain isn't working. Thank you for the little flowers that you made. I know that you called them something else, but I can't think. I can't think right now. But thank you. They're beautiful. Um, yeah. Uh, and Fix It, thank you for joining. And Robert, I love how people that Desert's known for a very long time are joining us. It's amazing. Posies, that's it. Um, okay, I'll see you all later. Um, yeah. All right. Be safe all. See yous.